Chapter 1. The assistant proposed turning the Beijing socialite's mother's 70th birthday celebration into a monochrome-themed banquet, even suggesting replacing color photos with black and white ones. She repeatedly assured us that the well-traveled elderly lady had progressive tastes and would absolutely adore the concept. I strongly advised against it, warning that the traditional-minded matriarch might be distressed, not only risking offense to the socialite but potentially triggering health complications. My CEO boyfriend ultimately sided with me and vetoed the assistant's proposal. On the very night of the triumphant birthday banquet, the young secretary spiraled into reckless driving and died in a collision with a tractor-trailer. Her boyfriend remained eerily composed during the burial, yet on the day of the victory celebration, he dragged me to her grave like a lifeless carcass. He forced me to kowtow 999 times, then poisoned me with arsenic, watching coldly as my insides liquefied in agony. Siren, you're just jealous that Yunfei outperforms you. If it weren't for you leading the opposition, I would have adopted her brilliant proposal long ago. Yunfei would still be alive. You killed her, now pay with your life. When I opened my eyes again, I'd traveled back to the day my assistant first pitched her proposal. I propose we style the birthday banquet with minimalist aesthetics and replace color photos with monochrome ones. That'll make it truly avant-garde and internationally chic. Mark my words, soon our company will be riding the princess's coattails to success. Who'd worry about landing big contracts then? Li Yunfei painted her proposal with vivid enthusiasm. By the end, she was gesturing animatedly with barely contained excitement. Her infectious enthusiasm quickly lifted the formal atmosphere in the meeting room. CEO boyfriend Qi Shirshan gazed adoringly at his overseas-educated secretary, seemingly forgetting entirely that I'm his actual girlfriend. He kept nodding enthusiastically. Yunfei's proposal is brilliant. Unlike someone who's stuck in the same old-fashioned rut for a decade without an ounce of innovation. As he spoke, he shot me a pointed glance, clearly aiming that remark at me. In my past life, seeing him treat me like this would have sent me into a jealous rage. Now, all that remains in my heart are the turbulent ripples of rebirth. Never did I expect divine mercy would grant me a second chance at life. This time, I won't stand in your way. With that thought, I blinked back the moisture in my eyes and said calmly, it's your call. Li Yunfei probably mistook my silence for admiration of her plan, smugly raising an eyebrow at me. She gave my shoulder a pat. Ran, don't take it too hard. Just study those international campaigns more often, it'll broaden your horizons. I shook my head with amusement. Seriously, I'm just overjoyed about my second chance at life. But if her suggestion works, she'll instantly gain powerful connections through the princess. Just not sure how to hold her properly. Seated at the head of the conference table, Qi Shirshan's smile froze as he gave me a strange look. I couldn't be bothered deciphering his mood swings anymore and continued where I left off. We've hit this year's targets, so I'm planning to take my annual leave early. The moment I finished speaking, the previously noisy conference room fell into complete silence. Everyone turned to look at me with stunned expressions. Clearly no one expected that I, who always micromanaged everything, would actually delegate decision-making to them. Even more surprising was seeing a workaholic like me taking annual leave early. Qi Shirshan's face darkened as he frowned disapprovingly. See Ran. What are you implying? I shrugged helplessly and was about to speak when Li Yunfei's eyes suddenly reddened. Ran Jia, do you have issues with my proposal? If you've got problems, just say it outright. Why all the passive aggression? Brother Shirshan, since Sister Ran doesn't approve of my proposal, let's just stick with the conventional plan. I won't voice my opinions in meetings anymore. What's the point when they'll just get shot down? Qi Shirshan's face softened with concern as he comforted Li Yunfei. His voice carried such tenderness it was like he'd become a different person. There was a time when he used to speak to me like that too. For a fleeting moment, my mind went blank. Then his gaze sliced through me like an icy blade. Siren, fine, you're too stuck in your ways to innovate, but why shoot down Yunfei's brilliant idea when she finally came up with one? You're just jealous of Yunfei, with that petty, close-minded attitude and inflated ego. No wonder you can't produce anything worthwhile. Yunfei Li turned a perfectly good birthday banquet into a funeral wake, and Kishian actually calls that a brilliant idea. Love truly blinds people. Thinking about it, if Qi Shirshan hadn't been interested in Li Yunfei, he wouldn't have insisted on hiring her after I'd already rejected her. Nor would he have repeatedly excused her mistakes by citing her youth and inexperience in the industry. I used to convince myself that Qi Shirshan's treatment of Li Yunfei was just mentorship, but now I realize I was only deceiving myself. In my past life, Failing to recognize Qi Shirshan's favoritism toward Li Yunfei led me to reject her proposal, a decision that ultimately triggered the ensuing tragedy. Back then, after I opposed Li Yunfei's idea, Qi Shirshan pretended to agree. But when she died in a car crash, devastated by the rejection, he blamed me entirely and later murdered me at the victory banquet to avenge her. This time, I won't repeat those fatal mistakes. Suppressing the raging hatred in my eyes, I remarked coolly, "You've misunderstood me. Didn't I just say it's your call? There's certainly no passive aggressiveness here. Our agency genuinely needs new talent to shoulder responsibilities, so I won't monopolize this campaign. Promising newcomers like Yunfei Li deserve their chance to shine. Let's have Yunfei Li take charge of this project. I could use some downtime myself." Seeing I meant business, my colleagues couldn't help voicing their concerns. Director C, the company is in its growth phase, hardly the time to slack off, don't you think? Exactly. Secretary Li is still new after all, lacking experience. Major decisions still require your leadership. They all wore expressions of siding with me. Yet their act nearly made me laugh. Weren't they all just whipped into enthusiasm by Li Yunfei moments ago? Why is everyone suddenly trying to talk me down now? In my past life, when I opposed Li Yunfei's plans, they all sided with her and Qi Shirshan, calling me petty and accusing me of professional jealousy. Even after Qi Shirshan killed me, they knowingly gave false testimony to the police, claiming I'd committed suicide due to work stress. They were accomplices to my murder, the cruel irony being that many of them were protégés I'd personally mentored. So in this lifetime, I'm done caring for these ungrateful souls. Snapping back to reality, I retorted coldly, "We've already hit this year's targets, why shouldn't we rest? Proper rest leads to better efficiency." I'm well aware Li Yunfei is new, but precisely because she's new, she needs this opportunity to grow. My sharp retort instantly shut everyone up. Qi Shirshan eyed me skeptically. "Since when are you so kind-hearted? This isn't some reverse psychology play, is it?" Cutting him off mid-sentence, I handed the meticulously prepared documents directly to Li Yunfei, then promptly submitted my annual leave request to Qi Shirshan online. "President Qi, please approve this ASAP. I've got vacation days waiting." Qi Shirshan didn't expect me to be serious. Hesitating momentarily, Li Yunfei's lips curled into an irrepressible smile as she feigned reluctance. "Sister Ran, this isn't appropriate. After all, you're the chief planner." With her strategic retreat, Qi Shirshan promptly approved my annual leave request and publicly appointed Li Yunfei as the lead planner for the birthday banquet. Everyone had no choice but to accept the outcome gracefully. Li Yunfei smiled with satisfaction, and so did I. In this lifetime, I'll never get entangled in their karma again. Just wait and see what a miserable end they'll come to under my leniency. After the meeting, Qi Shirshan went to dinner with Li Yunfei as usual. Ever since Li Yunfei joined the company, he'd frequently used playing host as an excuse to dine with her. In the past, witnessing this would have driven me into hysterics, only to be scolded later by Qi Shirshan for being paranoid and insecure. Now I just find it ridiculous and can't be bothered to engage. I hailed a cab straight home to pack my things and move out. I only took a few changes of clothes with me. As for the love letters I'd treasured in the drawer, written to Qi Shirshan, and all our couple items, I tossed them into the trash without hesitation, just like discarding my entire past. After packing, I carried my luggage out, only to run into Qi Shirshan and Li Yunfei returning home the moment I opened the door. At that moment, Qi Shirshan was holding Li Yunfei's hand with one hand while feeding her cotton candy with the other. "Yunfei, is this candy sweet?" His voice was gentle, laced with barely detectable eagerness to please. "Not as sweet as you." Li Yunfei took a bite of the cotton candy and mumbled her reply. Watching them laugh and chat together, I instinctively clenched my fists. Qi Shirshan and I used to be just as affectionate. We'd share bubble tea, feed each other steak, and every morning he'd hug me while whispering how lucky he was to have me. He proudly introduced me to his closest friends, brought me to their gatherings, made me feel secure, and wouldn't tolerate anyone speaking ill of me. He'd cut ties immediately if they did. I couldn't help but laugh, but ever since Li Yunfei joined the company, Qi Shirshan gradually stopped our sweet rituals and stopped inviting me to his friends' gatherings. He always said people our age should act more mature, that carrying on like we used to was childish and would make us laughingstocks. So I gradually came to accept Qi Shirshan's growing coldness and distance toward me. Looking back now, those were just excuses masking his change of heart. How foolish I'd been. His favoritism was so blatant, yet I remained oblivious. Snapping back to reality, I shot them an impassive glance and attempted to walk past, but they'd effectively barricaded the exit. Chi Shirshin's smile faded as he stared at me in genuine surprise. Siren, what are you doing here? Given my reputation for meticulous professionalism, even taking vacations only after completing proper handovers, Chi Shirshin had naturally assumed I'd still be at the office tying up loose ends. Even so, his words still managed to crack me up. This is my house. Am I not allowed back in? I was about to snap back when Li Yunfei's sharp eyes caught sight of the suitcase in my hand. She quickly let go of Chi Shirshin's hand but stayed pressed close against him. Her eyes reddened as she lowered her head. Ranjia, you're still mad at me, aren't you? Thankfully, I got a second chance at life. I knew you only asked me to plan the birthday banquet out of spite, otherwise. Why would you have already packed your bags? It's all my fault. If I hadn't insisted on being innovative, you and Shirshin wouldn't have argued, and you wouldn't be threatening to run away from home. Sister Ran, I'll get down on my knees to apologize. Li Yunfei forced out 2 tears and made a show of kneeling, but before her knees bent even a millimeter, Chi Shirshin swiftly stopped her, supporting her with one hand. He began patiently comforting her, after he'd calmed down. He shot me a furious glare. Siren, have you quite finished with your tantrum? You're the one who insisted on handing this project to Yunfei. You're the one who announced you were taking leave to relax and dropping all responsibilities. I gave you exactly what you wanted, so who exactly are you putting on this act for now? I'm not falling for your push-pull mind games, and don't even think about threatening me with running away from home. His tone was icy cold, as if I were his father's murderer, yet the way he defended Li Yunfei struck an achingly familiar chord. There was a time when he'd protect me with that same fervor. I remember during our startup days, an investor humiliated me like a dog, pouring liquor on the floor and demanding I lick it clean. I bent down, ready to humiliate myself by licking alcohol off the table just to secure this deal. Chi Shirshin snapped beside me, flinging his drink in the investor's face before tenderly helping me up and storming out without a backward glance. He said he'd rather walk away from the investment than see me demean myself for it, but now, his gaze holds no trace of that tenderness, only icy detachment. Fortunately, having already died once before, I'd long stopped expecting anything from him, so it didn't hurt much. I couldn't even be bothered to lift my eyelids. Chi Shirshin, I'm not making trouble. I just want to take this holiday to travel and finally live for myself. Back when I was helping Chi Shirshin stabilize his company, I never had a proper night's sleep. My chest ached constantly, and several times I nearly collapsed dead at my desk, not to mention finding time to travel and see those dreamy blue skies, white clouds, snow-capped mountains, and deserts. Before I could finish speaking, Li Yunfei shot me a disdainful glance. Ranjia, Shirshin good to approve your annual leave. But how could you just wash your hands of everything, dumping both company work and household chores on him alone? Don't you realize how exhausted Shirshinga must be? Shirshinga approved your leave because he cares about your well-being. How come you show zero consideration for him? What if something urgent comes up at work and we can't reach you when you're gone? She finished speaking with righteous indignation. My heart skipped a beat as an ominous premonition flashed through my mind. Sure enough, Chi Shirshin nodded thoughtfully before fixing his gaze on me and issuing a direct order without room for discussion. Yunfei's right, forget traveling, just stay home and be on standby. I laughed bitterly. I'm on leave, and he still expects me to be his workhorse, ready to be exploited at any moment. Ridiculous. What if I refuse? I rejected him coldly, my gaze frosty as I met his eyes. Since when do I need permission to take my own vacation days? Chi Shirshin froze momentarily, clearly unprepared for my defiance, a stark contrast to my usual compliance. Before his expression darkened abruptly. See Ran, you've grown bold. Since when did my words become optional? If you insist on going on that trip, don't ever come back. We're through. Threatening to break up was Chi Shirshin's go-to manipulation tactic with me. He'd threatened to leave when I rejected Li Yunfei's proposals, and again when I grew suspicious about their relationship. In the past, every time Chi Shirshin pulled this stunt, I'd swallow my pride and beg for forgiveness against my better judgment. But this time, I nodded calmly with complete composure. Fine, let's break up. Even if he hadn't brought it up, I was planning to do so myself later. Seeing me agree without the slightest hesitation, Chi Shirshin froze in place, staring at me in utter disbelief. Half a second later, he suddenly snapped out of it and raised his voice sharply. Chapter 2. What? You're actually breaking up with me? I rolled my eyes and retorted coldly, wasn't it your idea? I'm just giving you what you wanted. Why are you mad? Li Yunfei chimed in with fake concern. Ran Jia, don't be rash, you're still working at Shirshin's company. If you really break up, you'll lose your job. Provoked by her words, Qi Shirshin seized the chance to threaten me with my job. Si Ran. Since you're determined to break up with me, don't blame me for firing you. I couldn't care less, suit yourself, but if you're firing me, remember to pay the N+1 severance as stipulated in our labor contract. Qi Shirshin had always been stingy with money, no way he'd willingly cough up that much compensation. Just as expected, Qi Shirshin hesitated, choking on his anger speechlessly. I couldn't be bothered with his livid expression, walking out the door with my luggage without a backward glance. After leaving, I quickly contacted a real estate agent and rented an apartment inside the 5th Ring Road. Back then, to lighten Qi Shirshin's burden, my life revolved solely between home and office, working non-stop at the company, then doing chores at home, with zero personal time. The suffocating routine made my hair fall out in clumps. I wasn't even pulling tech bro 100-hour weeks, yet nearly went bald. Now I finally have all the time in the world to do as I please, and properly nurse my hairline back to health. Just as I was happily gaming in my rented apartment, Qi Shirshin dropped a bombshell in the company group chat. Si Ran is clearly unfit for leadership. I've decided to remove him as chief planner and appoint Li Yunfei instead, effective immediately. Si Ran will serve as Li Yunfei's assistant. The group chat exploded instantly. Everyone was waiting to see me humiliated. Chiming in with glee, how dare Si Ran cross manager Li Qi's favorite, this is what he gets. How could that old hag Siren possibly compare to our young and beautiful planner Li? Why is Siren so quiet? Did she see the messages and lose her mind? Li Yunfei was basking in everyone's flattery and deliberately mentioned me to show off. Everyone, please don't say that. Although Sister Ran is just an assistant, I'm less experienced than her. I'll still need to consult her for guidance. Seeking advice, more like passing the buck. Just recalling how Qi Shirshin had me killed in my past life merely for opposing Li Yunfei's proposal. If Li Yunfei's plan goes wrong this time around, won't they pin the blame on me? The assistant was planning to wait till month end for my paycheck before quitting, but now resignation can't wait another second. With that thought, I immediately typed out a message, then you might be out of luck, because I've decided to resign. The moment I hit send, the group chat fell completely silent. Just as I wondered if Qi Shirshin had missed it and considered tagging him, a private message popped up. Siren, first you make a scene about breaking up, now you're pulling this resignation stunt. When will you ever stop? Before he could finish berating me, I'd already exited our private chat and submitted my resignation through the company system. Then immediately mentioned him in the group chat. Resignation submitted, approve it. Qi Shirshin probably never expected I'd completely ignore his DMs. In a fit of pique, he instantly approved my resignation while taking one last jab at me in the group chat. Fine then, I'll be waiting for the day you come crawling back begging for my help. Regret, not unless I've lost my mind. After that, Qi Shirshin kept me in the group chat just to rub salt in the wound, posting daily updates about him and Li Yunfei planning the birthday banquet. Li Yunfei completely let success go to her head after becoming lead planner. Without me there to rein her in, she made a complete mess of everything. The banquet hall was redecorated entirely in monochrome black and white tones, yet she insisted it was Italian minimalist style, supposedly unique and sophisticated. She even replaced the traditional Chinese orchestra at the birthday banquet with a solitary era performance, playing melancholic tunes like Moon Reflected on Second Spring. To maintain minimalist consistency, the traditional red longevity character was swapped for black, and even the colored portrait of Beijing socialite Chen Xindua's mother was converted to grayscale. While most group members mindlessly agreed, a few voiced concerned questions. Ms. Li, doesn't this black and white photo look like a funeral portrait? Isn't it too much? Won't Madame Pei be offended? Li Yunfei responded with a disdainful snort. What would a Philistine like you know? This is art. Besides, Madame Pei received a lead education and travels abroad frequently these years. She'll absolutely appreciate this aesthetic. Must your mindset be as antiquated as Siren's? Qi Shirshin publicly backed Li Yunfei in the group chat, docking the rude employee's salary for a month as punishment to make an example of them. After that incident, no one dared voice dissenting opinions in the group anymore. Meanwhile, I just sat back munching fried chicken and binge-watching dramas, quietly watching them dig their own graves in that chat. Little did they know, though Madame Pei frequently travels abroad, she's fundamentally a traditionalist at heart with particular reverence for Chinese cultural heritage. Unlike foreign styles, she prefers homegrown aesthetics, vibrant crimson hues and down-to-earth folk music. But Li Yunfei orchestrated the birthday banquet with funeral-themed decor, hitting every one of old Madame Pei's pet peeves so precisely it'd give her a stroke. If anything happens to Madame Pei, Beijing socialite Princess Pei Shutao will make sure they pay dearly. While Li Yunfei and Qi Shishan were bustling with banquet preparations, I was booking international flights for vacation. Just as I hadn't finalized my flight tickets yet, the Qi family called me. Shishan and I had already broken up, and I wanted nothing more to do with the Qi family, yet somehow my finger slipped and I answered. Mrs. Qi's gentle voice came through almost immediately. You know how spoiled Shirshan's been since childhood. You put up with his temper all these years, why can't you tolerate it now? While Qi Shirshan's family background wasn't as prestigious as Beijing's elite socialites, they were certainly no ordinary household either. That's why getting together with Qi Shirshan wasn't easy. We both went through numerous hardships to make it work. Later, I single-handedly grew Qi Shirshan's startup into the thriving business it is today. Only then did I finally earn his parents' approval. I said calmly, Auntie, there's no love left between us. After a few seconds of silence, Qi's mother spoke again. You're not young anymore. Love isn't what matters. What married couple stays passionately in love forever, in the end? It's all about companionship. She kept trying to talk me around. I knew she considered me the perfect daughter-in-law material. Not only did I bring them lavish gifts during holidays, I also booked them international flights twice a year and covered all their travel expenses abroad. When the Qi family business was framed by rivals and nearly went bankrupt, I even risked my life in a game of Russian roulette to secure their survival. Even now, thinking about it still sends chills down my spine. But I don't regret what I did. Regret wouldn't change a thing. Thankfully, in this lifetime, I won't make those foolish mistakes again. Not wanting to continue the call with Madame Qi, I said tactfully, I'm still a bit tied up here, so before I could finish my sentence, Mrs. Qi suddenly cut me off. Siren, tomorrow's your uncle's birthday, we're throwing a party at home, you should come. I've been an orphan since childhood, with neither parents nor family. Back then, I didn't even know what birthdays were, let alone celebrate them. After Qi Shirshan's parents approved of our relationship, they'd invite me over for dinner on the same date every year, declaring it as my birthday celebration. Though I loathed Qi Shirshan for causing my death in our past life, his parents' kindness made outright refusal impossible. Alright, I'll be there on time tomorrow. I resolved this would be my final visit. Never again would I set foot in the Qi household. The next day, I arrived punctually at the venue right as the banquet was scheduled to begin. The Qi family's driveway was already lined with luxury cars, and the garden teemed with impeccably dressed guests who clearly belonged to high society. I made my way through the garden and headed straight for the main hall. Everywhere I passed, curious glances followed me. After all, I'd never made a public appearance at the Qi family's events, so high society didn't recognize me. To make matters worse, my outfit was bargain bin pinduoduo where that screamed cheap at first glance. They probably never expected the Qi family to invite someone like me to their banquet. Suddenly, all eyes were on me, some curious, others dripping with disdain. Those stares couldn't faze me in the slightest as I strode briskly into the living room. The parlor was equally crowded with guests clustered in small groups, some negotiating deals, others indulging in the kind of thrill-seeking games only trust fund kids would play. None of this held any appeal for me, and I knew better than to force my way into their circles. Like Alice stumbling through Wonderland, I wove through the crowd until reaching its epicenter where Mr. and Mrs. Qi held court. Just as I was about to present the gift, a sudden commotion erupted at the entrance. The next moment, two familiar figures appeared at the banquet, their intimate demeanor turning heads. It was none other than Qi Shirshan and Li Yunfei, dressed in matching haute couture. He resembled a noble prince while she looked every bit the innocent fairy tale princess. Anyone unaware of Li Yunfei's true nature would easily be fooled by her appearance. Qi Shirshan went to great lengths to fabricate Li Yunfei's background as coming from an elite family. Her resume clearly listed an address from remote mountain villages spanning Yunnan, Guizhou, and Sichuan during the interview. As for her overseas credentials, I only discovered she'd been an exchange student after accidentally overhearing her phone conversation. Watching this scene now, I find it utterly ridiculous but can't be bothered to expose her true identity. Ignoring the chorus of praises around me, I lowered my gaze and strode forward, seizing the moment when no one was paying attention to the birthday celebrant. I handed over my gift. Happy birthday, Uncle. Wishing you everlasting health and happiness, Mr. and Mrs. Chi noticed my arrival before glancing at Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei surrounded by guests, their expressions visibly darkening. Half a second later, Mr. Chi motioned for the servant to take my gift. Just as the servant reached out, Chi Shirshin's icy voice suddenly cut through the air. Dad, aren't you going to open her gift yourself? After all, someone I fired from the company could hardly afford anything expensive for you. His words weren't particularly loud, but carried clearly across the entire banquet hall. In an instant, all eyes were fixed on me. Some watched with schadenfreude, others with contempt, and a few even rolled their eyes at me outright. The maid froze mid-motion, uncertain whether to accept the gift or not, her hand hovering awkwardly in the air. I shot Chi Shirshin an icy glare. Did he really think such petty tactics could intimidate me? How utterly ridiculous. I said expressionlessly, Director Chi, I submitted my resignation voluntarily. How did it become termination in your version? Chi Shirshin clearly hadn't expected me to repeatedly embarrass him publicly. His face darkened. Whatever Li Yunfei whispered in his ear seemed to work. The hostility in his eyes noticeably faded. Then, gripping Li Yunfei's hand, he strode over briskly, stopping right in front of me. He tilted his chin up with unmistakable arrogance. Face it, your ideas were outdated. You couldn't cut it anymore and had to quit. What's the difference between that and getting fired? Without giving me a chance to speak, his cold expression instantly morphed into a smile like a chameleon, pushing Li Yunfei toward his parents. Dad, this is our company's new chief planner. See the gift she brought you, 1,000,000 times better than what certain someone could offer. He shot me a disdainful glare, his eyes dripping with contempt. His words instantly piqued everyone's curiosity. They all rushed over in no time. I could feel Li Yunfei's overwhelming excitement. Beaming with joy, she presented her gift and spoke with feigned innocence. Happy birthday, Uncle. This is my gift for you. I hope you'll like it. Mr. Chi's face remained impassive, his clouded yet shrewd eyes revealing nothing of his thoughts. Mrs. Chi's worried gaze lingered on me. I shrugged indifferently and lowered the hand holding the gift meant for the maid, seeing no one accepting Li Yunfei's gift. Chi Shirshin anxiously took it upon himself to tear open the wrapping and pull out a scroll. As the scroll unfurled, the delicate fragrance of ink wafted through the air, revealing an exquisite landscape painting in traditional brushwork. The masterful brushstrokes and subtle ink gradations were executed with perfect precision. Suddenly, an astonished gasp broke the silence. Unless I'm mistaken, this is a masterpiece from a century ago. Rumor had it the original was lost, yet here it appears before us. Chairman Chi must be truly blessed. Someone else hesitated and said, since no one has ever seen the original, how can we be certain this is authentic? Encouraged by Chi Shirshin, Li Yunfei stepped forward and spoke deliberately. While the original was believed lost to history, it had actually been secretly collected by my great-grandfather. I only recently learned of this painting's existence. Since Shirshin mentioned you enjoy collecting these, I thought I'd bring them as a modest gift. Hope you'll like them. Her words struck the perfect note, neither fawning nor ingratiating. This actually took me by surprise. Did Chi Shirshin specially hire an etiquette coach for her? In my past life, I'd wanted to learn high society manners to stay with him longer. He scoffed at me, saying I wasn't raised in that kind of environment. Even if I tried learning those manners, I'd just end up looking ridiculous and wasting money for nothing. Crushed by his words, I gave up on learning. Later, I accompanied him to his brother's private dinner party. I utterly embarrassed myself, grabbing the entire steak with chopsticks and shoving it straight into my mouth. Afterwards, he didn't comfort me at all, just kept berating me for humiliating him. Looking back now, my heart aches for my past self. Thankfully in this life, I won't try to fit into his world anymore. Chapter 3. While everyone was marveling and praising Mr. and Mrs. Chi's expression softened noticeably, clearly pleased with Li Yunfei's gift. Meanwhile, I just curled my lips slightly. They're really treating fakes like treasures. Can't wait to see their faces when reality hits. My little gesture went completely unnoticed. Though Li Yunfei was practically floating on cloud 9, she still remembered me standing at the crowd's edge. She turned to look at me, her eyes brimming with unconcealed triumph. Speaking in a distinctly condescending tone, Siren, what did you get, Uncle? Why don't you show us? Hearing this, others quickly chimed in. Exactly, could it really be some cheap knockoff? The crowd buzzed with gossip as if I'd brought some shameful gift. Old Mr. Chi frowned slightly while Madam Chi smoothed things over with a smile. It's the thought that counts. Your uncle will appreciate anything you've chosen. everyone must be tired. Shall we take a break in the garden and grab some snacks? Her words were clearly meant to ease my embarrassment, and I felt a flicker of gratitude, but Qi Shirshin and Li Yunfei weren't about to let it go, insisting Old Man Qi open my gift on the spot. Cornered and on the verge of losing his temper, Old Man Qi was interrupted by my initiative. Uncle, go ahead and open it. If you don't like it, I'll get you something else later. Hearing this, everyone instantly assumed my gift must be embarrassingly cheap, casting disdainful glances my way. Without further hesitation, Mr. Qi slowly unwrapped the present. Inside was a blank wish card bearing a gold-embossed seal. A distinct burst of laughter suddenly rose from the crowd, soon followed by mocking jeers. Mr. and Mrs. Qi's eyes flickered with disappointment, though they struggled to conceal it, likely thinking I was toying with them. Qi Shirshin let out a derisive snort. Siren, is this how you choose to appease my father? Li Yunfei suddenly let out a terrified scream beside him. Oh my god. Why is there still bloodstains on this card? That's so ominous. Her words instantly silenced the crowd. Old Mr. Qi's face darkened, while Mrs. Qi remained silent. Everyone was waiting for the Qi family's judgment upon me, while Li Yunfei mouthed silent words to me from an angle unseen by others. You're dead meat. Ignoring the varied reactions around me, I chuckled softly and spoke. Uncle, I happened to come across this wish list bearing the Pei family crest. Should you ever have a request, provided it's morally sound and reasonable, simply write it here and deliver it to the Peis. They'll honor it without fail. This wishlist came into my possession years ago when I briefly crossed paths with the Pei family heir at the time. Today, I'm passing it on precisely to sever all ties with the Qi family. As my words hung in the air, murmurs of astonishment rippled through the drawing room, mingled with audible disbelief. Clearly no one expected me to produce something of such extraordinary value. After all, the Pei family from Beijing's elite circles, the combined wealth of everyone present wouldn't even amount to half of theirs. Mr. and Mrs. Qi clearly didn't expect me to give such an extravagant gift. Just then, Li Yunfei suddenly whimpered pitifully. Siren. You couldn't possibly have heard about Brother Shirshin's company landing a major deal with the Pei family heiress and just faked this little card to pretend you're connected to them, could you? And couldn't you just have someone carve and stamp these badges anytime? Qi Shirshin's gaze darkened with equal malice. Siren, you're such an embarrassment. Thank God we broke. He abruptly cut himself off, as if admitting he'd ever dated me would disgrace him. Mr. Qi, visibly displeased, abruptly changed the subject to inquire how Qi Shirshin's preparations were coming along for Princess Pei Shutao's mother's grand birthday celebration. The others quickly perked up, marveling that the Qi family had managed to gain even slight access to the prestigious Pei household, their envy palpable. Qi Shirshin's face lit up with pride as he made sure to credit Li Yunfei for handling all the arrangements. The crowd then showered Li Yunfei with compliments about her beauty and remarkable competence. Mr. Qi's expression finally softened considerably. Mrs. Qi stood by with a beaming smile. No one paid me any attention anymore. I glanced back at the discarded wish card lying to the side. I couldn't help but let out a cold smirk. I'd originally thought this card could save the Qi family's parents later, since their son would soon offend Princess Pei Shutao, but since they won't accept my goodwill, so be it. With that thought, I indifferently averted my gaze and strode out. Faint praises for Li Yunfei still drifted from behind me. That very night, I booked my flight tickets and embarked on an exhilarating overseas adventure to indulge in life's pleasures, free from all the domestic troubles. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. While admiring the Eiffel Tower in Paris that day, I coincidentally ran into fellow travelers Pei Shutao and her grandmother Qin Xindua. Pei Shutao recognized me and asked, I remember you. You're the chief planner from Dingye Event Agency. Shouldn't you be working on my mother's birthday celebration? What brings you here? I explained with a smile. Mr. Pei, I'm actually on my annual leave now. Your mother's celebration has been handed over to our new planner Li Yunfei. She's full of creative ideas. Her arrangements will definitely dazzle you all, though you might want to bring Mrs. Pei's heart medication that day. I'm afraid the surprise might be too overwhelming. She could faint from sheer joy. At my words, Pei Shutao and Qin Xindua's faces lit up with anticipation. I was looking forward to it too. To Qi Shirshin and Li Yunfei's miserable downfall, the birthday banquet arrived soon enough, and I showed up ready for the drama. Recognizing me, Qi Shirshin instinctively assumed I'd come crawling back after career failures. Crossing his arms, he sneered. What, having second thoughts already? Came crawling back begging for reconciliation and a job? Too bad, you're out of luck. We still haven't settled the score for humiliating my parents that day. Li Yunfei wore a smug look of schadenfreude. Siren, if you just kneel and apologize to me and brother Shirshin, I might mercifully put in a good word, get uncle and auntie off your back, maybe even convince brother Shirshin to assign you a janitorial position. At least it's better than starving unemployed like you, huh? I gave them a deadpan look. Don't flatter yourself, I'm not here to make peace, just to enjoy the show. With that, I walked past them and took a seat. They couldn't be bothered to embarrass themselves further and resumed greeting guests. Soon, all invited guests arrived and were utterly stunned by the interior decorations. Is this, old Madame Pei's birthday banquet? Did I come to the wrong place? Li Yunfei thoroughly enjoyed their astonished expressions as she ushered them to their seats. You're in the right place. Seeing Li Yunfei's dead serious expression, the guests instinctively assumed Chen Xindue had died, turning the birthday banquet into a funeral. Just then, Chen Xindue made her entrance accompanied by Pei Shutao. Chapter 4. The guests turned pale the moment they saw Chen Xindue, with some even screaming in fright. Ah, a walking corpse. Pei Shutao's brows furrowed in displeasure, her eyes flashing with dangerous warning. Today's my mother's 70th birthday. How dare you say such things, a walking corpse? Are you deliberately cursing my mother? The guest turned even paler, stammering, isn't this a funeral banquet? You've even displayed memorial portraits. I thought old Mrs. Pei had already. Memorial portraits. Those are clearly the half-length photos I commissioned. Before Chen Xindue could finish speaking, the mournful sound of an arrow suddenly pierced the air. Chen Xindue turned toward the sound. But when she saw the massive black and white decor behind her and the monochrome photo on the table, she was instantly overcome with rage. Her heart gave out, her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed stiffly like a felled tree. Chaos erupted instantly as Chen Xindue collapsed. Oh no, old Mrs. Pei has fainted. Call an ambulance, now. Those words exploded like thunderclaps across the banquet hall. Seated guests rose abruptly, clustering around the scene. Within moments, the unconscious Chen Xindue was completely hemmed in by the crowd. Pei Shutao's beautiful face darkened with stormy displeasure. Seeing this, Qi Shirshin and Li Yunfei panicked and rushed over, pushing through the crowd to see what happened. Their faces turned pale the moment they saw Chen Xindue lying unconscious. After all, Qi Shirshin was the eldest son of the Qi family, no stranger to dramatic situations. Though shaken at first, he quickly composed himself. Li Yunfei's body began trembling slightly, her hands shaking uncontrollably. At the center of the crowd, Pei Shutao's brows furrowed tightly as she spotted the lead planner badge on Li Yunfei's chest, her words dripping with venom. Mr. Qi, is this your so-called meticulously prepared birthday banquet? Her voice carried not a shred of warmth, colder than sub-zero ice that chills to the bone. I hired you to plan a birthday banquet, not a funeral. Are you deliberately trying to curse my mother to an early grave? In a fit of rage, Pei Shutao hurled her wine glass directly at Qi Shirshin. The alcohol dripped down Qi Shirshin's clothes, falling drop by drop onto the floor. The atmosphere in the venue instantly became unbearably tense. Everyone broke out in cold sweat, too terrified to meet Pei Shutao's gaze. After all, she's the princess of Beijing's elite circle, someone you simply don't cross in this city. Rumor has it the last person who angered Pei Shutao vanished without a trace. Confronted by Pei Shutao's imminent outburst, Li Yunfei nearly collapsed in terror, only steadying herself when Qi Shirshin swiftly caught her. Digging her fingers into Qi Shirshin's forearm, she stammered out an explanation. President Pei, this isn't a funeral banquet, it's Italian minimalist style. I'm just keeping up with international trends. Qi Shirshin felt like his skin was being pinched raw, yet he forced a strained smile and chimed in beside Li Yunfei. Indeed, President Pei. Madame Pei likely fainted from cardiac distress due to momentary excitement. His words seemed meant to console Pei Shutao, yet equally served as hollow self-reassurance. If anything really happened to Madame Pei, not only would he and the entire Qi family be ruined, but Li Yunfei would also be in serious trouble. Qi Shirshin's feeble explanations meant absolutely nothing to Pei Shutao. His words suddenly reminded her that she'd followed my advice and kept heart medication with her. Realizing this, she urgently signaled her bodyguard to retrieve the medicine, had someone bring water, and personally administered the pills dissolved in water to Chen Xindue. After administering the medicine, everyone held their breath, terrified that Chen Xindue might still not wake up, knowing full well the entire room would face consequences if she didn't. Suddenly, an anonymous voice broke the tension, urging the crowd to step back. The warning came, stale air might suffocate the patient. She needed proper ventilation, though they heard the instruction. Nobody dared move a muscle just yet. Pei Shutao's icy glare swept across the room, sending everyone scrambling backward. Even a second's delay might have ignited her fury. The wait stretched endlessly until, just as Qi Shishan and Li Yunfei's anxiety peaked, Chen Xindua finally fluttered her eyes open. Pei Shutao rushed forward, helping her up from the cold floor with undisguised concern in her voice. "Mom, are you feeling better?" Despite her meticulous skincare routine, Chen Xindua's face remained deathly pale. Her custom-tailored cheongsam was hopelessly crumpled from the sudden fainting spell, but personal appearance was the last thing on her mind now. Seeing the worry in her daughter's eyes, she gave her hand a reassuring pat, in half a heartbeat. Her gentle demeanor transformed into commanding authority. Her piercingly intelligent eyes swept coldly across the banquet hall before finally settling on Qi Shishan and Li Yunfei. She spoke with glacial detachment. "What a magnificent surprise you prepared for me." Li Yunfei mistook the remark for genuine praise. Her trembling stopped instantly, her frantic heartbeat shifting from panic to exhilaration as she plastered on an ingratiating smile and rushed forward to claim credit. "Madam Pei, every detail here was meticulously arranged for you. We're delighted you approve." Watching this farcical scene unfold from the crowd, I could barely suppress my laughter. Couldn't she tell Madame Pei's words were dripping with sarcasm, not praise? To Chen Xindua's astonishment, the event planner actually had the audacity to shamelessly demand rewards. Her chest heaved violently before she let out a cold laugh, averting her gaze as she waved at Pei Shutao and said, "Daughter, make sure our guests are properly entertained." With that, she gestured for her bodyguards to assist her to a nearby chair. Li Yunfei's eyes lit up at the prospect of receiving a red envelope, eagerly extending her hand toward Pei Shutao as she chirped, "Just give whatever you feel like, Boss Pei, too much would embarrass me." Pei Shutao's face darkened instantly. She'd never encountered someone so shameless. "You've upset my mother like this, and you still have the gall to ask for a reward." A storm was brewing in her eyes. Seeing Li Yunfei still wearing a smile, her face darkened as she summoned the 2 rows of black-suited bodyguards at the door. "Men, beat her until she's covered in red envelopes. Whoever lands the most hits gets double pay." No sooner had she spoken than a swarm of bodyguards rushed in, surrounding Li Yunfei completely. Seeing this, the crowd hastily retreated further back, terrified of getting caught in the crossfire, or worse. Infected by Li Yunfei's sheer stupidity, Li Yunfei stared blankly at the approaching bodyguards, then at the fleeing crowd, finally realizing something was terribly wrong. In panic, she shot Qi Shishan a desperate plea for help. Qi Shishan could never bear to see Li Yunfei distressed. He immediately stepped forward and pulled her protectively behind him. Forcing a smile, he began making excuses for her. "It's all a misunderstanding. Yunfei decorated this way precisely because she knew Mrs. Pei travels abroad frequently and embraces foreign cultures." There was absolutely no disrespect intended. Chen Xindua wasn't placated by this explanation. Instead, she snorted disapprovingly. "Just because I enjoy traveling abroad doesn't mean I must adore foreign cultures. I've always been a staunch supporter of our native traditions. I'm quite conservative." While soothing Chen Xindua, Pei Shutao shot icy glares at Qi Shishan and Li Yunfei. She scoffed, "Had you done your homework, you'd have known this. This was deliberate, wasn't it, Mr. Pei?" "That's not what happened." Though Qi Shishan and Li Yunfei clearly wanted to explain further, the bodyguards gave them no chance. In the next instant, fists rained down relentlessly on Li Yunfei's body. The sound was just like punching a sandbag. Though Li Yunfei hailed from the Yunnan-Guizhou Sichuan region, as the youngest child she'd been pampered since birth, never experiencing hardship, let alone physical abuse. The raining blows now brought her unbearable agony. Hunched over with arms shielding her head, she crawled toward Qi Shishan while screaming bloody murder. "Brother Shishan, save me." The bodyguards went all out for double pay, and within minutes, Li Yunfei's body was visibly covered in angry red welts. She'd initially tried crawling toward Qi Shishan for refuge, but now lay crumpled on the floor, shivering violently, consciousness fading, her cries for help growing weaker by the second. Meanwhile, I casually munched sunflower seeds while enjoying the show. Chapter 5. After what they did to me in my past life, they totally deserved this beating. Qi Shishan kept trying to rush forward but was held back by bodyguards, forced to watch Li Yunfei take the beating with helpless anguish. His eyes bloodshot, he soothed her gently, "Just hang in there a little longer, Yunfei." As he spoke, he scanned the room for help when our eyes suddenly met. His eyes lit up instantly as he struggled free from the bodyguards, scrambling desperately toward me. Siren, Yunfei's been beaten to this state, and you're just watching calmly. Tears welled in his eyes, yet his words still carried that familiar condescension. I shrugged helplessly. It's not me who got hit, why should I care? My retort left Qi Shirshan speechless for a moment before he coldly replied, Siren, how can you be so heartless? I laughed in exasperation, finishing the sunflower seeds in my mouth before replying leisurely, if you're so noble, why didn't I see you stepping forward to take Li Yunfei's beating? Qi Shirshan's expression darkened as he gritted his teeth. Siren, must you really stand by and watch someone perish? I couldn't be bothered to argue further and sneered. With all this effort you're spending guilt-tripping me, you could have taken several punches for Li Yunfei. A vicious glint flashed in Qi Shirshan's eyes. Before I could react, he shoved me forward and shouted, stop fighting, the mastermind behind this birthday banquet isn't Li Yunfei, it's Si Ran. The moment Qi Shirshan said those words, I could literally feel everyone's eyes locking onto me. Their gazes swept over me from head to toe like scanning devices. I never imagined Qi Shirshan would throw me under the bus to save Li Yunfei. He used to be such a principled man. He'd even reported his own relative for drunk driving despite enduring their curses for months, yet remained completely unshaken. It was precisely his integrity and kindness that made me commit to him wholeheartedly, yet now he's throwing all principles out the window for Li Yunfei's sake. Snapping back to reality, I noticed Pei Shutao and Chen Xindua both sizing me up with scrutinizing looks, seizing the moment when the bodyguards were distracted. Li Yunfei broke free and dashed to Qi Shirshan's side. She shot me a venomous glare before even voicing her grievance. That's right, Ms. Pei, Si Ran masterminded this birthday banquet. She set me up. Pei Shutao interrogated icily, if she's the planner, why are you wearing the lead coordinator's badge? Do you take me for a fool? A flicker of guilt flashed through Li Yunfei's eyes before she quickly regained her composure. Mr. Pei, while I'm currently the chief planner, the proposal was actually drafted by Siren. She insisted this approach would be appealing. I merely executed her vision. Siren, I knew there had to be a catch when you generously handed over both the finalized proposal and the planner position to me. This was sabotage all along. She spoke with unmistakable fury on her face. As if I were truly the mastermind behind all this, Qi Shirshan chimed in from the sidelines, nodding repeatedly. President Pei, Si Ran has always targeted Yunfei out of sheer jealousy at work. She must be behind this mess too. The birthday banquet proposal was entirely her design. Yunfei had nothing to do with it. Under Qi Shirshan and Li Yunfei's coordinated persuasion, Pei Shutao and Chen Xindua began to waver. Seizing the opportunity, Qi Shirshan called in co-workers to corroborate his story. If you don't believe me, ask my colleagues, they'll vouch for everything. As he spoke, he shot them a meaningful glance. Who'd dare cross their boss, especially right before payday? Disobeying him now could mean losing your entire paycheck. So under Qi Shirshan's intimidating glare, they all nodded along and gave false testimony. We can all confirm Si Ran planned this birthday banquet. Li was just a figurehead. When Si Ran insisted on changing old Mrs. Pei's photo to black and white, I objected strongly. Said it was disrespectful, but she called me Philistine. Said I didn't understand art, and docked my month's wages for it. Those slanderous words ignited a fury deep within me. This was all Li Yunfei's doing. Before I could retort, Pei Shutao hit me with a death glare. No wonder you reminded me to bring heart medication when we bumped into each other in Paris. You must have anticipated this all along. Hearing this, Li Yunfei immediately fanned the flames. President Pei, Siren must be hiding something. Why else would she randomly remind you to bring medicine? And she suddenly resigned just days before the birthday banquet. That's textbook guilty behavior. Qi Shirshan nodded emphatically in agreement. Back when I refused her resignation, she threatened to sue me. That's why I had no choice but to approve her termination papers. He said these words without batting an eye, his gaze icy as it pinned me down. Pei Shutao found some merit in his argument and immediately signaled her bodyguards to surround me. Her voice cut like ice. You dare scheme against me, Siren, you've got some nerve. Then you'd better be ready to face the consequences. Someone, break her arms. The bodyguard circled behind me, poised to strike. Qi Shirshan and Li Yunfei wore smug grins, eagerly awaiting my humiliation. The other guests cast equally contemptuous or mocking glances, far from panicking. I merely curled my lips in a cold smirk. Li Yunfei couldn't hide her confusion. What's so funny? Laughing at your impending doom. Before they could react, I pulled out my phone and played a recording for everyone to hear. Upon hearing the recording, Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei's smiles froze as they stood rooted to the spot. This was precisely the recording from that meeting room, the moment I realized I'd been reborn. I kept my wits about me, pressing record on my phone hidden in my pocket to secretly capture the entire meeting discussion, safeguarding against future false accusations. Not only did it record me handing over the entire project to Li Yunfei, but also captured her grandstanding about her planning concepts and ideas. Chapter 6. The crowd clearly didn't expect this twist. Their previously scornful glances at me instantly transformed into synchronized verbal lashings against Li Yunfei after hearing her outrageous remarks. Unlike Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei's baseless claims, I actually possessed concrete, well-documented evidence. Their criticisms still maintained some semblance of civility. Is this woman out of her mind? Who in their right mind would choose minimalist style for a birthday banquet? Let's call it what it is, funeral chic. Is she celebrating longevity or mourning a death? Exactly. And replacing the entire folk orchestra with a solo era performance. Everyone knows the era is for mourning, not celebration. She's clearly putting a curse on old Mrs. Pei. That CEO must be brain dead too, allowing this godawful planner to run wild. What decent person would enjoy this kind of birthday celebration? As the murmurs spread, Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei flushed crimson. Though whether from shame or fury was impossible to tell, but to me, they just seemed ridiculous, like a pair of pathetic clowns who couldn't even perform on a proper stage. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Pei Shutao glaring at Chi Shirshin and his companion with such venomous hatred that she looked ready to skin them alive. It was obviously you, and now you're trying to pin it on someone else. Do you take me and my mother for fools? Pei Shutao's voice was icy, barely containing a storm of fury beneath the surface. Neither Chi Shirshin nor Li Yunfei expected me to have the recording. Having just been humiliated by Pei Shutao, they reflexively took their frustration out on me, shooting me accusatory glares without bothering to explain. Li Yunfei's eyes darted rapidly before suddenly lighting up with calculated inspiration as she deliberately said, President Pei, Madam Pei, I never made those remarks. Ran fabricated this recording. With today's advanced technology, forging audio evidence would be child's play for her. Besides, she's always disliked me. She clearly has malicious motives. Just think about it. If she hadn't deliberately fabricated this, how could she have conveniently recorded everything? This was all part of her calculated scheme. Don't let her deceive you. I never expected Li Yunfei to still try pinning the blame on me even after I presented evidence. Just as I was about to retort, Chi Shirshin pulled me aside and whispered, Siren, just take the fall for Yunfei this once. Yunfei's still young with her whole future ahead. This stain would ruin her life, but you're different. You're tough-skinned and capable enough to handle setbacks that'd barely scratch you. Chi Shirshin's self-righteous rant made me laugh bitterly. Are you serious? Chi Shirshin mistook my hesitation for persuasion and eagerly grabbed my hand, spinning empty promises. Siren, if you agree to take the fall for Yunfei, I might consider getting back together with you. I withdrew my hand with a scornful laugh, utterly exasperated. Chi Shirshin, could you be any more conceited? You're beneath my notice, and I won't take the blame for Li Yunfei's crimes. After repeated rejections, Chi Shirshin finally lost his temper and snarled, Ran, you brought this upon yourself. With that, he turned back to Li Yunfei's side and joined her in framing me, President Pei, Madam Pei. As Ran's ex-boyfriend, I've seen her studying programming tutorials multiple times. She probably synthesized that recording during those sessions. With Chi Shirshin's testimony, the crowd was once again torn about whom to believe, ultimately choosing to stay out of it and enjoy the drama. A few people shot me disdainful glances once more. If even her ex says so, then the recording must definitely be fake. There's no logical reason she'd have that recording unless she planned it. Who just randomly records conversations? Ran is truly vicious, not only bullying colleagues but nearly harming Grandma Pei too. She'll regret crossing Beijing's socialite princess. As the gossip gained momentum with more people joining in, I felt cold sweat beading on my forehead watching the scandal unfold, digging my nails into my palms. The sharp pain helped steady my nerves. Keeping my voice measured, I began explaining to Pei Shutao, President Pei, just run an authenticity check on this recording and you'll know. But Pei Shutao's patience had run out completely. Without giving me a chance to explain, she immediately signaled her bodyguards to restrain me. Her voice was icy when she spoke. I won't let anyone who disrespects my mother get away with it. Break her damn hand. I never imagined they'd twist the truth like this even with evidence staring them in the face. they're pinning this on me. Is this really how it ends for me today? Fear coiled in my gut, mixed with bitter resentment, outnumbered and overpowered. My desperate struggles proved futile as the two burly bodyguards pinned me face down on the floor. The unyielding cold floor dug into my knees. Every attempt to rise was met with crushing resistance. Seizing the chaos, Li Yunfei ground her leather shoe into my fingers with vicious force, the sickening crack of bone audible beneath her heel. White-hot pain erupted through me, a strangled scream tearing from my throat as cold sweat drenched my body. Through tear-blurred vision, I watched Qi Shirshan pick up the red wine with malicious glee and stride toward me. Before I could break free from the bodyguard's grip, he flung the wine directly into my face. The sticky liquid clung to my skin, leaving me utterly humiliated. As the bodyguard raised the bottle to smash my hand, I shut my eyes in despair. Just then, a delivery guy's voice rang out at the hotel entrance. "Miss Li Yunfei, your order of 999 funeral wreaths has arrived. Please sign for them." "Oh. And the florist said to tell you, next time you're planning a banquet, remember to come back to her for a 15% discount." As the delivery guy finished speaking, all eyes that had been laser-focused on me suddenly swiveled toward the hotel entrance. The delivery guy grew visibly awkward when no one responded. Feeling increasingly self-conscious under everyone's gaze, he repeated hesitantly in a hushed voice, "Could Miss Li Yunfei please come forward? Your funeral wreath has arrived." His voice trailed off into near silence. Their expensive attire marked them as society's elite, yet every face wore grim expressions, especially the striking woman leading the group. Without consultation, he silently directed his hundreds of colleagues to swiftly carry the funeral wreaths into the hall. The operation was executed with military precision. The hundreds departed like receding tidewaters, leaving no trace of their presence. Only when their figures faded into the distance did the crowd snap out of their daze, staring at the funeral wreaths filling the room. Disbelief washed over their faces. Clearly no one expected such outrageous behavior as ordering floral tributes for a birthday banquet. The sight of those garishly colored wreaths sent Chen Xinhua into such shock that she coughed up blood, rolled her eyes back, and collapsed unconscious once more. Pei Shutao rushed forward in alarm to catch her. She pressed hard on Chen Xinhua's philtrum, but the woman remained unconscious, her face turned frosty with rage, jaw clenched so tight her teeth nearly shattered. "You lot, how utterly splendid." As Pei Shutao's gaze swept over me, I seized the moment to plead my innocence. "Director Pei, the delivery guy confirmed Li Yunfei ordered this wreath. Both he and the florist can testify she masterminded this memorial stunt. I had nothing to do with it. If you don't believe me, just have Li Yunfei call the funeral wreath vendor and you'll see." As soon as I finished speaking, Pei Shutao's penetrating gaze locked onto me. Without this wreath situation, I knew I'd probably be doomed today, but the appearance of the wreath gave me renewed hope to prove myself. I met Pei Shutao's gaze without flinching, though I couldn't decipher the meaning behind her eyes. I refused to back down. Seconds later, Pei Shutao abruptly stood up and ordered her bodyguard to support Chen Xinhua. Her sudden movement sent an inexplicable jolt through me. My heart was still pounding as I watched her stride over to Li Yunfei in just a few steps. Pei Shutao commanded Li Yunfei coldly to call the funeral wreath vendor, clearly unprepared for the sudden spotlight. Li Yunfei's face flickered with hesitation. Stumbling over her words, she desperately scrambled for an excuse. "Pepper, my phone's lagging. Maybe I should call back later." Before she could finish, Pepper Shutao motioned her bodyguard to snatch the phone. The bodyguard forced Li Yunfei to face the screen for facial recognition, then dialed the wreath vendor, not forgetting to put it on speakerphone. The call was answered instantly, with a tone mixing surprise and unmistakable excitement. "Shaoli, what's up? Planning another banquet? Just tell me what kind of event this time. I've got wreaths galore." Li Yunfei turned pale, opening her mouth to stop the speaker from continuing. Pei Shutao's face darkened as she signaled her bodyguard to end the call. She turned her head and issued a chilling command, "Break her hands and feed them to the dogs." With that, she had the unconscious Chen Xinhua loaded into a car and rushed to the hospital. Realizing they were actually going to break her hands, Li Yunfei screamed in terrified panic, "President Pei, I genuinely wanted to organize a successful birthday banquet for Madame Pei, considering Madame's frequent travels abroad. She must be quite familiar with foreign cultures, so I thought to borrow wisdom from the West. Just as ancient Europeans awarded wreaths to victorious warriors, I used floral arrangements to decorate the banquet, hoping she'd feel that same sense of honor. If you don't believe me, look, those wreaths are made entirely of fresh flowers." "Fresh?" the rest of her words caught in her throat, as her gaze swept past the bustling crowd and landed on those wreaths. She realized with horror that they were made of fresh flowers. Every single one of the 999 wreaths present was crafted from paper flowers. It suddenly dawned on her, she'd squandered the company's entire budget paying off gambling debts, thinking paper wreaths would go unnoticed since no sane person examines funeral arrangements. Little did she know this very deception would become her undoing, a downfall entirely of her own making. Li Yunfei froze in place, momentarily stunned beyond reaction. Only one thought raced through her mind, she was utterly doomed. Qi Shishan watched Li Yunfei's petrified expression, his urgency driving him to comfort her, but noticing Pei Shutao turning to leave, he swiftly grabbed her arm, pleading for Li Yunfei's sake. He said earnestly, President Pei, Yunfei is young and impulsive, she didn't mean to offend Madame Pei. Please don't hold it against her, be merciful this once. Pei Shutao shoved him away violently. Qi Shishan, this isn't over, just you wait. I'll sue you into bankruptcy. Never in his wildest dreams did Qi Shishan imagine he'd actually provoke Pei Shutao this badly. Just as despair consumed him, two figures suddenly appeared at the entrance, following the crowd's gaze. I saw Qi's father arriving fashionably late with his wife in tow. Neither seemed to notice the tense atmosphere in the hall. Old Qi beamed as he approached Pei Shutao. President Pei. Our apologies for keeping you waiting. Watching his obsequious display, I shook my head in quiet amusement. The Qi family's doom is sealed. Let's see how long that smile lasts. When Qi Shishan saw his parents arrive, it was as if he'd grasped at a lifeline. His eyes lit up as he rushed forward, clutching his father's arm with a choked sob. Dad, please save Yunfei. President Pei, he's going to break her hands and feed them to dogs. How will she survive without her hands? Like someone spotting salvation, Li Yunfei desperately broke free from the bodyguard's grip and rushed to Mr. and Mrs. Qi, pleading with tearful desperation, Uncle, Auntie, if my hands get broken, I won't be able to assist Brother Shirshan anymore. That means Brother Shirshan's company would lose a valuable helper. Please, I beg you, save me, Mr. Qi had gone to great lengths to cultivate connections just to secure an invitation to the longevity banquet. I was hoping to leverage my son's connection to get closer to Pei Shutao, but something's clearly off now. Otherwise, why would Pei Shutao look so frosty too? Forcing himself to stay calm, he turned to Pei Shutao and asked, Chapter 7, Director Pei, did these two kids do something minor to upset you? He deliberately downplayed the situation, hoping Princess Pei might cheer up and let it slide. Yet Pei Shutao's expression remained frosty. Instead of answering directly, she responded with a chilling laugh, Are you blind to what's happening in this hall? Only then did Mr. and Mrs. Qi simultaneously turn their gaze toward the interior of the hall, when they saw the uniformly funereal decor, and worse yet, those garish funeral wreaths. Their bodies shuddered violently. This isn't just some minor mistake, it's practically wishing death upon old Madame Pei. Unable to contain his rage any longer, Mr. Qi spun around and delivered a stinging slap across Qi Shirshan's face. The sudden blow left Qi Shirshan momentarily dazed. When he regained his senses, his eyes widened in shock and disbelief as he exclaimed, Dad, you hit me. You've never laid a hand on me my entire life. How could you do this? Old Qi's chest heaved violently with rage. Feeling on the verge of a heart attack, he let out a bitter laugh. You ungrateful wretch, who gave you permission to arrange the birthday banquet like this? Or was it Li Yunfei's doing? The patriarch sought to pin all blame on Li Yunfei. At least this way, the Qi family's reputation might be salvaged. Li Yunfei didn't think that far ahead. She just instinctively hunched her shoulders, convinced she couldn't tell the truth or the Qi family would never help her. She opened her mouth to shift blame onto me again, but before a single word escaped, Pei Shutao's icy voice cut in. This was your precious son and his brilliant strategist Li Yunfei, the Qi family, huh? Enjoy your impending bankruptcy. Pei Shutao shattered old Qi's last glimmer of hope. With that, she turned on her heel and strode briskly toward the exit. Darkness clouded old Qi's vision as his body convulsed uncontrollably. While not among the creme de la creme of high society, the Qi family still held respectable standing in elite circles. How could he just stand by and watch the Qi family vanish from high society again? Besides, their family of 3 had lived in luxury for over 20 years. How could they possibly return to scraping by, let alone sail off to foreign waters as lowly fishermen? Seeing Pei Shutao about to enter her car, old man Qi scrambled after her on unsteady legs, trembling as he clutched the window and pleaded, President Pei, spare our family, I beg you, we'll be at your service forever, even as your lowest servants. Seeing Mr. Chi groveling so pathetically, Mrs. Chi suddenly grasped the gravity of the situation. She rushed forward and joined him in pleading, but Pei Shutao couldn't be bothered with either of them, simply ordering the driver to depart. As the luxury car accelerated, Mr. Chi lost his grip on the window. He collapsed to his knees with a thud, choking on exhaust fumes. Mother Chi struggled to help him up, but when Father Chi turned to look at the hall, he realized everyone was watching him like spectators at a show. At that moment, the shock became too much. His eyes rolled back as he collapsed unconscious. Panicking, Mother Chi rushed to support him again, but her slight frame couldn't possibly support Mr. Chi's weight. As she looked up to call Qi Shirshan for help, she could only watch helplessly as he chased after Li Yunfei, who was being forcibly dragged away by bodyguards. Overwhelmed by this double blow, Mrs. Chi also collapsed unconscious alongside her husband. Their fainting spells garnered no sympathy from the crowd, whose attention had completely shifted to Li Yunfei's dramatic exit. Watching the unconscious couple at the hotel entrance, I quietly pulled out my phone and called an ambulance for them, a simple act of human decency. After shouting, I followed the gawking crowd shuffling toward Li Yunfei, who was being pinned down and beaten by bodyguards. Before even reaching the scene, her piercing wails already cut through the air. Li Yunfei's screams were positively blood-curdling, so loud they reached every single person present. Some couldn't stomach the horrific sounds, hastily dragging their family members away. Seeing this, the other guests gradually dispersed. Soon, the vast 1,000-square-meter hall was left with only a handful of people. I had no intention of leaving though. This promised to be quite a show. Still, I kept my distance to avoid getting dragged into their drama. At that moment, Qi Shirshan's hoarse voice suddenly rang out, "Siren, are you happy now?" I turned around to see him standing just half a meter away, his gaze filled with resentment. "This is all your fault. Why didn't you confess sooner? If you'd admitted your guilt earlier, Yunfei wouldn't have had to suffer like this. His lovesick antics are absolutely killing me. Your parents collapsed unconscious at the doorstep. Why aren't you this concerned about them?" Only then did Qi Shirshan suddenly remember he'd forgotten about his parents, panic flashing across his face. Watching his expression shift, I casually continued, "Why should I clean up the mess you made? Since you're so virtuous, why don't you take Li Yunfei's punishment? It's just getting both hands broken." At my words, Li Yunfei's eyes lit up with hope amidst her beating, immediately casting an expectant glance at Qi Shirshan. She whimpered pitifully, "Brother Shirshan, you've always been so kind to me. Why not see your kindness through to the end and take the punishment for me?" She thought Qi Shirshan would still fall for her tricks this time, but she'd completely miscalculated. The moment his own interests were at stake, Qi Shirshan predictably clammed up. He didn't even dare glance at Li Yunfei. Seeing Qi Shirshan remain silent, Li Yunfei grew visibly irritated, her tone turning sharp. "Qi Shirshan, why aren't you saying anything? Do you want to watch them break both my hands? Stop hitting me, go beat him instead, he can take my punishment." Stunned that Li Yunfei would actually use him as a human shield, Qi Shirshan stared at her with utter disappointment. "Li Yunfei, after all I've done for you, how could you repay kindness with betrayal? If you really cared about me, you'd take the punishment for me. You're such a hypocrite, how dare you say that? This is your own mess, and now you're trying to drag me down. I never realized what a terrible person you are." Their argument escalated violently until they came to blows. Not even the bodyguards could stop them. Finally, the bodyguards simply took action against both of them together. For a moment, the entire hall was filled with the agonized screams of Qi Shirshan and Li Yunfei. Having seen enough of the show, I couldn't be bothered to stay and left decisively. That afternoon, Qi Shirshan limped home battered and bruised. The moment he stepped inside, he sensed the tense atmosphere and suddenly remembered abandoning his parents when they fainted earlier. Holding his breath, he tiptoed toward the staircase, hoping to slip upstairs unnoticed, but as he entered the foyer, he saw Mr. Chi sitting rigidly on the living room couch with a stormy expression, Mrs. Chi beside him looking equally displeased. Shirshan knew they'd spotted him. Pressing his lips guiltily, he stammered, "Mom, Dad, I'm home," when Mr. and Mrs. Chi woke up in the hospital. Their first instinct was to look for their son, but the nurse informed them that no family members had accompanied them since they were loaded into the ambulance. They also learned it was someone named Siren who had called the ambulance for them. Hearing this, the couple nearly fainted again. Never in their wildest dreams had they imagined their beloved son, whom they'd doted on since childhood, would heartlessly abandon them when they collapsed. Grief-stricken. The couple's most pressing concern was Qi Shirshan's offense against the Pei family. Just as the couple reached their wits' end, a servant suddenly announced the young master had returned. Mr. Qi immediately guided Mrs. Qi to sit on the living room sofa, awaiting their son Shirshan's arrival. At the entryway, Shirshan changed into slippers and approached the sofa, thinking a little might soften his parents' anger over offending the Pei family. With this thought, he moved to occupy the empty spot beside his mother, but before he could sit down, a sharp reprimand suddenly cut through the air. How dare you show your face here? Get on your knees. Qi Shirshan's body went rigid instantly. Looking up in disbelief, he saw not a trace of humor on his father's face. Straightening up abruptly, he protested indignantly. Dad, humiliating me publicly was bad enough, now you want me to kneel. Am I even your real son? His eyes turned bloodshot as he spoke. Mr. Qi sprang up from the couch with a rustle, raising his hand to strike him across the face again. Before the blow could land, Qi Shirshan offered his still swollen cheek toward his father. His voice trembled with barely contained anguish. Dad, if beating me makes you feel better, then go ahead and kill me. Hearing his words and seeing his battered body, Mrs. Qi's heart finally softened. She rushed forward, wrapping her arms around Qi Shirshan, and said hoarsely to Mr. Qi, old Qi, let it go. The child didn't mean it. We'll make proper apologies to the Pei family. Mr. Qi was already seething with rage, and seeing Mrs. Qi shielding Qi Shirshan only fueled his fury further. He bellowed angrily, an apology? Do you think I haven't considered that? If a simple apology could fix this, Pei Shutao wouldn't have stormed off in such anger. The Qi family is finished, and Qi Shirshan, this is all you're doing. Qi Shirshan knew full well he was at fault. But what truly gnawed at him was Si Rant's refusal to take the fall for Li Yunfei. Had he done so, Li Yunfei would have been spared, and the Qi family could have washed their hands of the whole mess. But right now, the priority is figuring out how to resolve this situation. Qi Shirshan's mind raced frantically when suddenly, inspiration struck. He exclaimed excitedly, Dad, didn't Li Yunfei give you that famous painting for your birthday? Go find it quickly. I heard old Madame Pei collects antique calligraphy and paintings. If we present that scroll as an apology, she'll be delighted and won't hold our Qi family accountable. This way, he could keep control of the company while letting Li Yunfei remain a figurehead. Perfectly acceptable. At this thought, a faint smile flickered across his face. As for Siren, he'd have plenty of chances to deal with her later. After hearing this, Mr. and Mrs. Qi exchanged glances, nodding in approval of the plan. Mr. Qi immediately instructed the maid to bring down the valuable painting. After double-checking with Qi Shirshan and receiving confirmation, he promptly drove to the hospital with both the artwork and his family. Upon arriving at the hospital, the family of three inquired around only to learn that old Mrs. Pei was admitted to the top-floor ward. Though gaining access wasn't straightforward, left with no choice, Mr. Qi considered bribing nurses for assistance. But none dared risk their jobs by accepting bribes to help them locate Chen Xindua. Resigned, Mr. Qi eventually stationed himself with Mrs. Qi and Qi Shirshan outside the VIP elevator. As night fully descended, the three watchers finally spotted Pei Shutao's group emerging from the elevator. The leading girl looked utterly exhausted. Her graceful figure moved forward mechanically as she rubbed her temples without even glancing ahead, before she could fully recover from her fatigue. Three distinct voices reached her ears in rapid succession. Director Pei, pardon the interruption. President Pei, we've come to offer our sincerest apologies. President Pei, I heard Madame Pei appreciates antique artworks. This piece was from my father's collection. Please present it to her as compensation from the Qi family. Qi Shirshan spoke with earnest sincerity. Chapter 8. Fearing their gesture might seem insufficient, Patriarch Qi hastily added, if this isn't satisfactory, we're prepared to transfer 10% of our company shares to the Pei family. Pei Shutao hadn't even glanced their way initially, but upon hearing this, her piercing gaze abruptly locked onto the trio. Old Master Qi's already slightly hunched posture bent even deeper, beads of cold sweat forming on his forehead. Madame Qi felt a surge of panic, her body betraying her with involuntary tremors. Qi Shirshan appeared the most at ease, meeting Pei Shutao's gaze. He took it as acceptance of the Qi family's apology. With a smile, he extended his hand toward Pei Shutao. President Pei, I look forward to your guidance moving forward. With your shareholding, I believe the Chi and Pei families will forge an enduring partnership. His words drew sharp intakes of breath from everyone present. No one could have imagined that the CEO of a small company would be so socially inept and downright foolish. Pei Shutao let out an icy chuckle. Before she could speak, Old Man Qi raised his trembling hand and delivered a stinging slap to Qi Shirshan's face, snarling in fury, "Has that woman Li Yunfei eaten your brains?" The stinging pain on his face snapped Qi Shirshan out of his daydream, clutching his cheek. He dared not lash out at his father as he would at home. Instead, cautiously sidling up to his mother while muttering, "What does Yunfei have to do with this? It's all Siren's fault, if she hadn't." As he was about to continue, Pei Shutao abruptly interrupted, "You think you're worthy of my investment?" Pei Shutao voiced her opinion, prompting her entourage to jeer at the three Qi family members. Old Master Qi felt utterly humiliated. He shot a furious glare toward Qi Shirshan, who responded with an innocent shrug. The patriarch nearly fainted from rage upon seeing his son's obstinate attitude, but with more pressing matters at hand, he immediately unfurled the scroll like a treasured offering and presented it to Pei Shutao. "President Pei, could you take a look and see if Madam would approve?" As the scroll unfurled, the three Qis wore inexplicable pride, convinced Madame Pei Shutao would finally forgive their family. Yet when the painting was revealed, one of Pei's entourage gasped aloud, "Good heavens! They actually dared present this to President Pei." Another person chimed in, "A counterfeit piece, and you dare present it? You're insulting President Pei's discerning eye." As these words landed, Old Qi's smile froze instantly, his hands clutching the scroll trembling violently beyond control. Madame Qi instinctively turned her gaze toward her husband. Qi Shirshan froze momentarily before snapping back to reality half a second later, gritting his teeth as he spat out, "Impossible. Those damned maids must have switched the painting." He'd caught servants pilfering valuables before. He'd immediately thrown them out and docked 3 years' wages as punishment. As he spoke, Qi Shirshan lunged toward the scroll, but when he recognized it was still the same scroll painting gifted by Li Yunfei, his jaw clenched involuntarily. Then, as if struck by a thought, he denied vehemently, "This can't possibly be fake. Li Yunfei's great-grandfather collected this painting. She simply passed on this heirloom as a congratulatory gift to my father. You must be mistaken." The moment those words left his mouth, Old Man Qi nearly slapped his face off. The two men behind Pei Shutao snorted with contempt. "What gives your pathetic Qi family the right to question us? You're not even fit to polish our shoes. Boss Pei, just say the word. We've been itching to teach these fools a lesson." As they spoke, they flexed their limbs and even clenched their fists threateningly at the Qi family trio. Old Man Qi dropped to his knees with a thud before Pei Shutao. "President Pei, we had no idea they were counterfeits. We beg for your magnanimity. Please spare our Pei family this once." Madame Qi followed suit, sobbing her plea. Only Qi Shirshan remained unconvinced, shaking his head incessantly. How could this scroll possibly be fake? As Qi Shirshan remained lost in his emotions, Pei Shutao spoke tonelessly. "After tonight, the Qi family shall cease to exist. As for these three, beat them senseless and throw them out." Pei Shutao's words were clearly an ultimatum. Old Man Qi was sobbing uncontrollably, kowtowing repeatedly to Pei Shutao. Madame Qi likewise dropped to her knees and kowtowed. Only then did Qi Shirshan snap out of his daze. As he reached for Pei Shutao's sleeve, her icy glare made him recoil in fear. Pei Shutao couldn't be bothered to spare them another glance. Turning away with purposeful strides, Old Qi attempted to chase after her pleading for mercy, only to be intercepted by Pei's entourage. Within moments, a hail of blows rained down on Old Qi, punctuated by his piercing shrieks of agony. Neither Mrs. Qi nor Qi Shirshan escaped unscathed. They too received a thorough beating. Chapter 9. After beating up the trio, one of them cheerfully spoke up. "Heard your Qi family received a wish card back then, right? That card could save your family's necks." With those words, they left the battered Qi family members behind, shoving hands in pockets with a grin as they chased after Pei Shutao. Watching the retreating figures, Old Man Qi slowly snapped out of his daze. Ignoring the pain from his beating, he mumbled weakly, "What wish card?" Mother Qi suddenly raised her voice. "Could it be the one Siren gave you for your birthday?" Squinting in thought, Father Qi finally recalled receiving Siren's wish card during his birthday celebration. It had been presented as the Pei family's redeemable promise card at the time. At this realization, he scrambled to his feet, wiped away tears, and hurried toward the hospital entrance. Mother Qi struggled upright and followed after him. Qi Shirshan was still confused about the situation. It wasn't until he got in the car that he belatedly remembered Ran giving his father a small card on his birthday. Back then, he had mocked and scorned the gesture, thinking it was utterly beneath their dignity. Yet now, that very card turned out to be their family's lifeline. A whirlwind of emotions overwhelmed him in that moment. The car had barely come to a stop at the Chi residence when Old Man Chi stumbled out and dashed toward the villa. No sooner had he stepped inside than he barked at the servants. "Where's that card Siren gave us?" The servants exchanged bewildered glances. None could recall any card, they've never even laid eyes on it. Then one of the maids suddenly whispered, "Sir, I remember you used that card to flick cigarette ashes. It got burned through and you tossed it in the trash." Hearing this, Old Chi couldn't bear the shock any longer. His vision went dark as he collapsed unconscious. Mrs. Chi, her eyes reddened from crying, rushed in moments later and urged Chi Shirshin to drive the unconscious man to the hospital immediately. Having endured 2 brutal beatings that day, Chi Shirshin had planned to rest properly after retrieving Ran's card and securing the Pei family's forgiveness. Before he could even step inside, his mother called out urgently. His father had collapsed and needed immediate hospitalization. Gritting his teeth against the searing pain coursing through his body, he turned the car around toward the hospital once more. That night witnessed subtle shifts within Beijing's middle-class circles. Yet these changes left me completely untouched. I remained entirely unaware of these developments. After the scandal at old Mrs. Pei's birthday banquet, I began flooding job portals with resumes. My decent professional skills soon landed me a new position, and I smoothly transitioned to a fresh workplace, free from Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei's harassment. I'm in such high spirits that my work efficiency has skyrocketed. Within just 2 weeks of joining, I delivered flawless wedding plans that earned rave reviews from clients. Impressed by my performance, the boss not only gave me bonuses but also promoted me with a raise. I couldn't be happier about it. Just when everything in my life and career was going smoothly, I happened to hear news about Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei. Rumor has it they've fallen on hard times. Apparently after I left the birthday banquet that day, Li Yunfei actually had both her arms broken by bodyguards. To prevent her from getting the severed limbs reattached, those bodyguards fed the broken arms straight to the dogs. From that moment on, Li Yunfei became completely incapacitated. Though old Mrs. Chen Xindua was successfully resuscitated, she remained hospitalized for several days due to the shock. In a fit of rage, Pei Shutao leveraged her Beijing connections to sue Chi Shirshin's company, hiring top-tier lawyers that ultimately forced him to pay astronomical damages. After settling the compensation, Chi Shirshin's company teetered on the brink of collapse before rapidly going bankrupt, dragging the entire Chi family into crippling debt. But Pei Shutao wasn't done with them yet. She blacklisted Chi Shirshin and Li Yunfei across the entire industry, making it impossible for them to find work. Even construction sites turned them away. Left with no choice, they resorted to begging. Chi Shirshin's situation was especially pitiful, hounded relentlessly by debt collectors. What's more, I heard the Chi family brought a scroll painting gifted by Li Yunfei that day, hoping to beg for forgiveness. Little did they know, the painting was instantly recognized as a counterfeit. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Of course it was fake, probably some knockoff Li Yunfei snagged with a $0.50 coupon on Pinduoduo. The genuine article had always been in my grandfather's collection. I accidentally smudged ink on it while practicing calligraphy as a child. After Grandpa passed, the scroll painting was buried with him according to tradition. The next I heard of the Chi family, Patriarch Chi had taken to his bed from the series of misfortunes and passed soon after. As for Chi's mother, her health deteriorated rapidly, yet she couldn't afford medical treatment. No hospital would take her in. Before long, she too passed away. Though Chi Shirshin repeatedly reached out, begging for my help, I remained unmoved, quietly blocking and deleting his contact. Just when I thought we'd never cross paths again, fate intervened. Within weeks, Chi Shirshin showed up at my doorstep. That day, as I returned from work, I spotted an all too familiar figure standing right outside my door. Who else could it be but Chi Shirshin? I frowned instinctively, wanting to avoid him, but then remembered his stubborn nature. He'd undoubtedly camp out there until he saw me. Steeling myself, I asked coldly, "Chi Shirshin, what are you doing here?" His eyes lit up when he saw me, and Chi Shirshin rushed to my side in long strides. Before I could react, he'd already opened his palm to reveal a coral bead bracelet resting there. With bloodshot eyes burning with emotion, he said tenderly, "Siren, do you remember this?" This is that deep emerald coral you once dove to the ocean floor specially to retrieve for me, a symbol of true love's heart. The bracelet was also painstakingly shaped and designed by your own hands. This was your first birthday gift to me. Our token of pledged love. You promised that as long as this bracelet exists, our love would endure forever, that you'd love me all your life. Siren, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have favored that wretchedly Yunfei, much less hurt you repeatedly because of her. I know I was wrong, and I've paid for my mistakes these past days. Please don't be mad at me anymore. I've done some serious soul searching, and now I realize you're the only one who truly cares about me. You're the one I love most, Siren. For the sake of our love token, give me one more chance. Let's start over, okay? He blurted out everything in one breath, leaving me no room to respond. When he finished, he looked at me with hopeful anticipation. Had this been in the past, Qi Shirshan's heartfelt confession might have moved me, but after what happened in my past life, not an ounce of affection remains for him. How dare he expect my love to remain unchanged after the cruelty he inflicted? Chapter 10. I stepped forward and took the coral bracelet. A glimmer of joy flashed in Qi Shirshan's eyes. Siren, I knew you still loved me, but the next instant, I decisively snapped the coral bracelet before his eyes, beads scattering across the floor with a clattering sound. Some even bounced near his feet. Without hesitation, I raised my hand and tossed the remaining few beads into the roadside sewer. This time, my gaze held nothing but icy detachment. Qi Shirshan, give it up. There's never been any possibility between us. Qi Shirshan's eyes instantly reddened, his voice trembling with growing anguish. Siren, how could you be so cruel to me? Are you really throwing away 6 years of our relationship just like that? He tried playing the emotional card, but before he could finish, I cut him off coldly. Stop pretending. Did you really think I wouldn't realize you came back begging for reconciliation just to clean up your mess? Too bad, I've wised up. There's no way I'm getting back together with you, nor will I keep being your cleanup crew. Caught off guard by my insight, Qi Shirshan's expression froze momentarily, his gaze flickering with reproach. Siren, our Qi family's current predicament is entirely your doing. You knew Li Yunfei's plans were flawed from the start. Why did you let her proceed? You stopped her in our past life. Why not this time? Your inaction caused everything to spiral out of control. And that little card you gave, why didn't you show proof it came from the Pei family? You never intended it as a genuine gift. You wanted to watch our Qi family fall completely. This is all your fault. You owe me for this. I barely registered his following words, staring at Qi Shirshan in stunned silence. Unless I misheard, did he just say previous life? My gaze turned icy as I repeated his words. Previous life. So you've been reborn too. If you're truly reborn, then you should know exactly why I didn't intervene. Last time I tried to help, what happened? You got me killed. So this time I went along with your wishes and let Li Yunfei take charge of the birthday banquet. Isn't this exactly what you wanted? Why are you blaming me now? It took Qi Shirshan a long moment to realize I'd also been reborn, his face filled with disbelief. Siren, you're actually reborn too, so you deliberately didn't stop this. No wonder my life's been so miserable this time around, and my parents died early. It was all you're doing. I sneered. This isn't harming you. It's self-defense. Get the hell out of my house if you've got nothing better to do, or I'll call the cops for harassment. I pulled out my phone threatening to dial 911. Seeing I meant business, Qi Shirshan had no choice but to leave grinding his teeth in frustration. Before he left, I didn't miss the fleeting glimpse of calculation and malice in his eyes. I scoffed and quickened my pace home. The wish card Qi Shirshan mentioned from the Pei family, that was something I'd traded my life for. That year, I was kidnapped alongside the Pei family's 6-year-old heir, on the eve of us being sold off. I mustered all my strength and escaped with that little boy. I nearly fell off a cliff in the process. Only later did I learn the boy was the Pei family's designated heir, but after the accident, he fell gravely ill and reportedly passed away soon after. The Pei family remembered my life-saving act and gave me a favor card, promising to help me once should any emergency arise. If we're talking family hierarchy, that little boy would actually be Pei Shutao's uncle. It wasn't until years later that I learned Pei Shutao had long since become the Pei family heir. So they weren't really familiar with me. Naturally, I wouldn't go out of my way to claim any connection with them either. Snapping out of my daze, I pushed open the front door and stepped inside. That night, I dreamed Qi Shirshan came after me like a madman seeking revenge. Just like my past life's fate, he forced arsenic down my throat, leaving me writhing in agony as my insides burned away. I jolted awake violently, staring blankly at the pitch-black ceiling. Half a second later, I realized it had all been a nightmare. My clothes were already soaked through, clinging uncomfortably to my sweaty skin. Wide awake now, I got up and changed all the bedding before grabbing a towel to shower. Knowing Chi-Shirshin's temperament, I was sure he wouldn't let me off easily after suffering such humiliation, but I hadn't expected his retaliation to come this fast. That morning at the office, my previously friendly new coworkers were looking at me differently. The change was unmistakable. It wasn't until I sat at my desk and turned on my computer that I realized I'd made headlines. The person spreading these vicious rumors was none other than Chi-Shirshin. In his post, he shamelessly twisted the truth, painting me as some ungrateful, heartless villain. I'm publicly exposing my ex-girlfriend here. She's a complete gold digger. After stringing me along for 6 years, she stole our company's core business strategy when we broke up, took it to her new employer, and even sold our patented technology. Her reckless actions drove my company into bankruptcy, leaving me drowning in debt. Creditors hound me daily. It's absolute hell. After 6 years together, how could she be so cruel? They say good deeds bring rewards, so why has my life become this miserable? She even caused my parents' deaths, yet this perpetrator walks free without consequences. The post instantly went viral, creating massive waves across the internet. Within hours, netizens flooded me with vicious insults. What a despicable gold digger. She not only played with hearts but also stole patents. My heart breaks for this poor guy getting played like this. Heard this scammer works at Universal Corp. Sisters, let's all email their CEO to get this trash fired. Damn right. If they don't fire her, we'll boycott Universal too. No wonder my colleagues started giving me strange looks. Even when I went over to greet them, their responses felt distant. As public outrage escalated, it eventually impacted my job directly and tarnished the company's reputation. The boss had no choice but to suspend me temporarily to salvage the company's image and appease furious netizens. On my 3rd day of suspension at home, I received a call from Chi-Shirshin using his new number. The moment the call connected, his gloating voice came through the receiver. "See Ran. Cyberbullying doesn't feel too good, does it? Heard you even got suspended because of it. That's what you get for crossing me. Told you couldn't win against me, but you just wouldn't listen. For old time's sake, our 6 years together, I'll give you one more chance. Agree to get back together, and I'll post a clarification to clear your name right now. This way, you won't face online harassment anymore and can return to work. It's a win-win for you, but if you refuse, I'll keep leaking your dirty laundry online until you're completely ruined. You make my life hell. I'll make sure yours is worse." Facing Chi-Shirshin's threat, I didn't get angry. Instead, a smirk curled my lips. "Oh really? But it seems the next target of online mobbing won't be me, it'll be you." A strangled shriek erupted from his end. Chapter 11, You'll find out soon enough. Without giving him another chance to speak, I mercilessly ended the call. I then saved the call recording and uploaded it online along with all the evidence I'd gathered over these past days to prove my innocence. The moment the post went live, it instantly went viral among netizens. Public opinion did a complete U-turn. Netizens who'd been bashing me suddenly redirected their fury at Chi-Shirshin. "So we've been fooled by this scumbag all along." "Exactly, you're the one who betrayed and framed her, yet you're playing victim." The audacity. Rumor has it his company went under because of his own stupidity, insisting his mistress organize the birthday banquet only to offend Beijing's socialite princess and get blacklisted. That cheating bastard and his homewrecker deserved to rot. I thought it was over, but to my surprise, Chi-Shirshin actually went live streaming. On screen, he looked disheveled and haggard, a far cry from his usual aloof and superior demeanor. "Hello everyone. I never thought that even after exposing that toxic woman with solid evidence, she'd fabricate lies and dump all the blame on me. How could I possibly joke about my parents' death or my company's bankruptcy? Siren, you've already ruined my life. Why won't you let me go? Do I have to die for you to finally leave me alone?" Chi-Shirshin was devastatingly handsome, even his tears looked beautiful. Netizens immediately flooded the chat with sympathetic messages. "Don't cry, we believe you're innocent. Where there's one speaking up for him, others will follow." "Absolutely. I also think the evidence is fabricated, otherwise why wasn't it released earlier? Dropping it now reeks of ulterior motives. That shameless bitch, how dare she fabricate evidence?" Already called Beijing PD, hope she enjoys her new sewing machine job in prison. Called Beijing PD plus 10,086. As the torrent of online abuse targeted at me surged again, my eyes grew colder. Grabbing my phone, I immediately dialed emergency services. Soon after, officers arrived at my door for routine questioning. I systematically presented each piece of evidence, even pulling up the webpage on my phone to show the police. Their expressions turned grave after reading. "Miss C, rest assured we'll investigate this matter promptly," I replied gratefully. "I appreciate your help." After seeing the police off, I couldn't be bothered with those mindless netizens anymore. They flip-flop like weather vanes. I quickly tidied up and got ready to grab dinner, throwing on a face mask just in case someone recognized me. But I'd underestimated Cheeshurshan's rabid fans. I hadn't gone far from my apartment when a rotten egg hit me, followed by a shower of spoiled vegetables, all while the attacker hurled insults. "You vile bitch. After all the heartless things you've done, just drop dead already." I initially wanted to retreat immediately, but then I realized, I'd done nothing wrong. Why should I hide? Having resolved myself, this time I removed my mask without hesitation and fixed the middle-aged man with an icy glare. My frosty stare momentarily startled him, but within seconds he resumed hurling vulgar obscenities at me. I glared at him coldly, pulled out my phone, and called the police again. The police arrived faster than I expected. Yet the man still refused to leave even after their arrival. In the end, officers had to forcibly escort him into the patrol car while he kept hurling insults at me. I accompanied the police to the station to give my official statement. After leaving the police station, I learned that the man had been swindled out of his entire fortune by a gold digger, even losing his parents to her schemes. The consecutive blows drove him to complete mental breakdown. Later, after watching Cheeshurshan's livestream, he mistook our experiences as similar and projected all his hatred onto me, believing I was the same kind of deceiving woman who ruined him. With no living relatives and his mental instability, the man couldn't offer any compensation. I had no choice but to write it off as bad luck. Hearing this explanation, I could only shake my head speechlessly. Talk about being collateral damage. After getting home from the police station, I took a shower and changed out of my clothes stained with rotten eggs and wilted vegetables. This time, I didn't go out again and just ordered takeout instead. Over the next day or two, the online posts didn't lose steam. Under Cheeshurshan's deliberate manipulation, the controversy kept escalating. Cheeshurshan even started live-streaming product promotions. I watched the scene unfold without a trace of emotion on my face. Back in the livestream, his deep, magnetic voice was pitching the product in his hand, extolling its virtues. But before he could say much, a viewer posted a comment. "Anyone remember this was supposed to be an expose on that trashy woman?" Prompted by this netizen's warning, others suddenly saw the light and began boycotting Cheeshurshan's promoted products. Chapter 25. Undeterred, Cheeshurshan dragged Li Yunfei, who was already reduced to begging, into his livestream. Choking back tears on camera, he said, "My cousin got dragged into our family's misfortune too. Both her hands were chopped off, leaving her unable to work. I can't support both of us alone, so livestream sales are my only option. Hope you'll understand. If this really bothers you all, I suppose my cousin and I'll have to go back to begging on the streets." The delicate flower Li Yunfei once was had long withered. Now her weathered face looked rougher than a delivery rider's. She sat catatonic, barely reacting when Cheeshurshan shoved the livestream camera in her face, just mumbling incoherently to herself, "Please have mercy and spare me some food." Netizens were genuinely moved and actually made purchases. In just one night, Cheeshurshan's livestream sales surpassed those of veteran influencers. Watching their viral video with Li Yunfei trending instantly left me speechless. I never imagined he could be this shameless. Let him have his little moment for now. On the very day Cheeshurshan was happily live-streaming his product promotions, several police officers suddenly entered. Cheeshurshan was swiftly removed from the livestream for maliciously spreading defamatory rumors, along with the mentally unstable Li Yunfei, who was also taken into custody. It happened so fast that netizens didn't even have time to process it. By the time people came to their senses, the livestream had already been forcibly terminated by the platform. Netizens began speculating whether Cheeshurshan had actually framed me, while some delusional fans left wild comments. "Those cops must be imposters. What if they're actually kidnapping Cheeshurshan and his cousin to traffic them to Southeast Asia? Wow, that's absolutely horrifying. At Siren, release Cheeshurshan and his so-called cousins immediately, or we're calling the police." Just as these delusional fans were spinning wild theories, the police issued an official statement. The statement spelled it out in black and white. Cheeshurshan was convicted and sentenced to prison for false accusations and abusing Li Yunfei. As for Qi Shixin and Li Yunfei's actual relationship, turns out they were former boss and subordinate, not cousins at all. Most rational netizens were convinced by then, having uncovered their true relationship, Li Yunfei was indeed the mistress, originally from the Yunnan-Guizhou Sichuan region. Despite this, a handful of delusional fans obsessed with appearances kept living in their fantasy world, randomly demanding justice under various posts. Eventually, the police tracked them down one by one, only to find they were unemployed drifters. After imposing fines, the matter finally came to a close. From the police, I learned that after Qi Shixin took Li Yunfei in, he harbored deep resentment, subjecting her to daily beatings, verbal abuse, or starvation, even when fed. He'd force her to crawl on all fours and eat like a dog. Li Yunfei's mental state had long deteriorated, rendering her incapable of rational judgment as she obediently followed Qi Shixin's commands. Her compliance only fueled his cruelty, driving him to intensify the torment. When police brought them to the station, officers discovered Li Yunfei's clothing concealed a body covered in wounds. With this evidence of abuse combined with my testimony, Qi Shixin will inevitably face legal consequences. But he refused to accept defeat. Repeatedly attempting to appeal and demanding legal representation, not a single lawyer in the capital would take his case. Qi Shixin was successfully transferred to prison. Driven to despair, he escaped from prison, hunted down Li Yunfei begging on the streets, stabbed her 18 times until she died, then slit his own throat. The day their deaths were announced, I happened to be promoted to director and was hosting my celebration dinner in a private room. My brand new future had only just begun. Story 2. After 8 years of marriage to Qin Mo, I experienced an ectopic pregnancy with my first child. During that time, he held me tightly and reassured me, whether we have children or not won't affect our relationship, I only need you. However, on the day I had my surgery, he spent the whole evening holding a canary, watching fireworks. He even said to the canary, "Only I would want a hen that can't lay eggs." As the fireworks lit up the sky like a myriad of stars, our child was forever lost to sleep. It's okay, I don't need the child or the husband anymore. When Qin Mo returned from a business trip, I was sorting out his clothes and found a piece of women's lingerie. Upon seeing it, he casually threw it into the trash can saying, "Can you stop snooping around my things?" The edge of the black fabric was carelessly hanging over the rim of the bin. Qin Mo's phone was on the bedside table and lit up while I was lost in thought. Numbly, I picked it up and unlocked it. The password was still my birthday. The WeChat profile picture was a plush rabbit. "Are you up yet?" I scrolled up to find Qin Mo had taken a photo of the clothes lying in the trash can. Brother is so naughty, stealing someone's clothes and even getting them dirty. Qin Mo sent her 10,000 yuan with a message. "Is this enough to buy 10 pieces? Send me pictures when you get them. Do you want pictures with them on or off? What do you think, brother? You're so naughty." I forced myself to endure the disgust and photographed all the chat records with my phone, then set the message status to unread and put the phone back. Qin Mo came in smelling of cooking oil. I prepared the food. "Do you want me to cut some fruit for you?" I gave him a faint smile. "Sure." As soon as he turned around, I rushed to the bathroom to vomit, hearing the noise. He didn't come back but impatiently shouted from the doorway, "I told you not to eat random stuff. You never listen. I think your infertility is because of your eating habits, always blaming your poor health." Remembering the chat logs I had just seen, I felt a surge of nausea and almost threw up bile. The girl had asked him how it felt. He replied, "Nowhere as good as you, shy, JPG, what about your wife? Her body's like dried raisins, more off-putting than a streetwalker's. I'll wear the new clothes for you when they arrive." Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. I came out of the bathroom pale-faced. He was already sitting at the dining table, eating and rapidly texting. He just glanced at me briefly and then lowered his head. About that piece of clothing, he abruptly put down his chopsticks and phone, irritation clear in his expression. "That was a sample given to me by a new project partner at the company. Can you stop digging into every little thing, Suman? It's really annoying, you know." After Qin Mo left the house, I went to the hospital alone. This wasn't the first time I had experienced such vomiting. It was just the first time he had seen it. We had always wanted a child, although my body never seemed to agree. He had said before that we could go without children, but as time passed, seeing him enviously looking at other people's children always filled me with guilt and sadness. I loved him so deeply and wanted to have our own child. To build a proper home together, I had suggested separating, but he cried and protested. He said he would never leave me just because we couldn't have children. That wasn't what a man would do. But when did he become so cold and heartless towards me? We first met when he was the notorious bully at 3rd middle school, and I was a nerdy bookworm. It was a cliché scene. I saw him fighting at the school gates and called the police for him. After that, the thugs he fought with started targeting me. One day, they cornered me on the way home from school. Heard you're his girl. If we can't beat him, beating his woman is just the same. Before they could touch me, he appeared, cigarette in mouth, and kicked the ruffian who tried to hurt me. At first, he always called me dummy, bookworm. Later, he called me sister, because he couldn't attend the same school as me and cried the whole day. During the repeat year of his studies, he would always sneak off to my school. Seeing me walking with another guy would bring him to tears. You can't flirt with anyone else. I've set my heart on you. Watching you with someone else might as well kill me. To ease his mind, I visited him once a week. Later, his family cut off his allowance because he refused to study abroad. I worked part-time jobs tirelessly, working whenever I wasn't in class. It was a struggle, but we managed to get him through that repeat year. Eventually, he joined me at my school. And once we made our relationship official, he always talked about spending our lives together. In his 3rd year, while I was interning elsewhere, he and his friends were busy starting a business. Sometimes we wouldn't see each other for a month, but he would still call me daily, insisting on keeping the video call going even during his classes. That was until he collapsed from exhaustion and got pneumonia after getting caught in the rain, which landed him in the hospital. I took time off work to take care of him. When he woke up, he hugged me and cried, Man, I'm scared of dying because I can't bear the thought of never seeing you again. Will you stay by my side forever? I won't let you suffer, I promise." He kept his word and within a year became a rising tech mogul in the capital. I no longer had to desperately seek clients and chase performance targets. Clients flocked to us like butterflies to a flower, and within 6 months, I had started my own company. Even his father began to see him in a new light, yet, despite my accomplishments matching his father still looked down on me. "She has no power or background, a simple family history, how will she help you in the future?" The first time he took me home, his father said this right in front of me, but he firmly held me close and said, "I want her, and no one else. Would you want her even if she can't have children?" At that time, his father even dug up my medical records from the hospital. Due to overworking during my part-time jobs in college, I was told by doctors that my chances of getting pregnant were slim. Upon hearing this, Chin Mo simply said, "It doesn't matter, having children or not won't affect our relationship, I just need you." But today, he poured scalding hot tea into my already festering wound. The scab might never form now. Just 3 weeks ago, a new life began growing inside me. I sent a message to my best friend. She sent a bunch of congratulations. "Finally, I get to be a godmother. It's an ectopic pregnancy, and also, Chin Mo has cheated." She then retracted all her previous messages and sent one last line, "If you don't leave him, don't come to me." I called Chin Mo, but his assistant answered the phone. He never let his assistant answer my calls because he had told the assistant that he must personally take calls from me. "Madam, the boss is currently unavailable." The assistant's voice was anxious, fearing my reaction, as I had always been temperamental and delicate since being with him. People say love is like nurturing a flower. I could be delicate when he loved me, but without his love, my delicacy became disgusting. "I understand, tell him to come home tonight." I prepared a table full of his favorite dishes, but he didn't return even by midnight, nor did he call. I reluctantly used my morning memory to search for that girl's WeChat name on Weibo. I actually found it, and just a minute ago, she had posted a status. She had just uploaded a photo of a man, topless and face unseen, in a dim and blurry light, yet, I recognized him at first glance. It was Chin Mo. His physique was impressive, with well-defined abs and broad shoulders tapering to a slim waist. Even at 28, he still maintained himself well, but what made me recognize him wasn't his body, but it wasn't just the faint scar on his left shoulder, but now there was a fresh bite mark on that shoulder. The girl's caption read, "A seal of love for brother's metal heart." Every time, when our emotions ran deep, I would bite the scar on his shoulder. Each time, he would laugh softly, looking both rogue and handsome. "Sis, still got the strength to bite me? How about a few more times, huh?" Sometimes when he annoyed me, he would cheekily bring his shoulder close to my mouth for a bite. "Come on, a bite and it won't hurt anymore. I'll let sister bite me for a lifetime." What did I say back then? I said, you better keep your word, or I'll never look back for the rest of my life. It turns out there was indeed a day when I had to fulfill my own promise. Well, no need for a farewell dinner now, I just can't figure it out. My husband was fine, how did he suddenly turn bad? Everyone said I married a good man, that everyone should look for a man like Chin Mo. It was only after I went through this girl's Weibo thoroughly that I understood. Turns out she was a girl his family had once sponsored. Her first Weibo post was a photo with Chin Mo, the brother who sponsors me. He's so handsome, when will I ever be worthy to stand by his side? In the photo, Chin Mo stood beside her with a slightly cynical air, his expression unreadable. But I saw a unique tenderness in his eyes that was reserved just for him. I remembered a day after we were together. He mentioned that his family was sponsoring a little girl who was very hardworking and always wanted to come to our city. He only brought her up that one time. Early the next day, he rushed back looking disheveled. His usual neat shirt was only half tucked, and his beard had grown quite a bit, but his face wore a look of satisfaction when he saw me having breakfast. He came over wanting to hug and kiss me, but I coldly pushed him away. Dirty. He playfully scraped my nose and chuckled, still mad. Didn't my assistant tell you yesterday? I had to finalize a project urgently, didn't even come home. I put down my chopsticks. I'm going to work. He put down his briefcase, took off his coat, and tried to hug me. I kept his hands away. I said, I'm going to work. He suddenly frowned. Didn't I tell you that you don't have to work this hard? Why are you going to work again? I've rested long enough. I looked into his eyes, void of any emotion. Half a year ago, I was accidentally hit by a prop on the set and nearly drowned. Chin Mo was both angry and scared. Not only did he sue the entire production team, but he also used drastic measures to bring down the investors. Afterwards, he didn't want me to work, saying he was afraid I would get hurt again, and that he could earn plenty of money. Indeed, he wasn't lying. He gave me dozens of credit cards, each with no spending limit. I'll drive you. He grabbed his clothes and keys and followed me out. I knew I couldn't argue with him, so I let him drive me. I had forgotten to bring a hair tie, so I casually opened the central glove compartment. A pack of sanitary pads, one missing, and an open pack of brown sugar ginger tea lay quietly inside. My blood froze instantly, and I was stuck in place. I'm allergic to that brand of sanitary pads. And I never drink brown sugar ginger tea, because I hate ginger. Chin Mo noticed my unusual behavior and pulled over. Seeing me staring blankly at the items inside, he picked up the hair tie from those items and handed it to me. Isn't this what you were looking for? I stared at him coldly. Aren't you going to explain? These aren't yours. What's there to explain? His impatience showed again, and I calmly smiled. Yes, there's nothing to explain. The old me would have probably made a scene by now, but today, the more evidence of his infidelity, the more relaxed I became. He seemed to be struck by my response, becoming completely stiff. Before leaving, he tenderly tied up my hair. There, it's been too long since you rode in my car. You've forgotten your own things. Has it been too long since I rode in his car? Or too long since he loved me? I didn't ask, because I no longer wanted the trash that could be so easily taken away. Just after arriving at the company, I asked my assistant for the contact details of the best divorce lawyer in the city. I also scheduled surgery for next week, and Zhou Wan booked her flight in advance, saying she would come to accompany me. So, my visit to the company today was solely to clear up the shares, preparing for the property division, but I didn't expect her to come. She was very beautiful, dressed in branded and luxury items. She didn't look at all like she came from a rural area. Instead, she seemed like a pampered city girl who had been coddled for over 20 years. Miss Su, you know who I am, right? As she spoke, she placed her handbag on the table. The logo on the bag was familiar to me. It was from a private workshop where Chin Mo had my custom bags made. The owner was quite peculiar, making custom bags only for Chin Mo. Wow, I can't believe brother gave you such a big company, and I'm just a little assistant under him. What, you want more? She chuckled lightly. Of course, but I'm not in a hurry. Once you step down, all this will naturally be mine. You probably don't know, but brother said you're like a hen that can't lay eggs. She looked somewhat smug. I raised an eyebrow. So what? I can bear children. I'll give brother many, many children. You must know how much brother loves children. She showed me a video. It was a video of Chin Mo and her playing games with children at an orphanage. In the video, Chin Mo was laughing happily, walking along with the children, exchanging smiles with her. Then she opened another video, this one in a hotel. In the video, she asked Chin Mo, Your wife hasn't had children, you don't blame her. A hen that can't lay eggs, what's there to blame? She's only useful to me. Hearing the man's condescending tone, I remained unusually calm. You're the best. He casually blew smoke rings. Isn't it good to set oneself up as a good man? After the video ended, I felt a surge of nausea and hurried to the restroom to vomit. It was utterly disgusting. I directly called Chin Mo. His assistant answered the phone. I forced a smile. His little canary came to trouble me. Seems she wasn't pampered enough. Do I need to send her back to him? Less than 10 minutes later, Chin Mo arrived. The girl hid behind him upon seeing him. Brother, he anxiously looked her over, seeing nothing wrong, and then turned to ask me, you didn't do anything to her, did you? I crushed the cigarette in my hand, unable to smoke, just holding it to smell, so anxious. He frowned at the cigarette between my fingers. When did you? I stood up, leaning on the desk with a bright smile. Why not hide it better? Chin Mo's expression stiffened, and he distanced himself from the girl. It's not what you think. Ching Ching is just my assistant, remember, she's a girl my family once helped. I nodded. I remember. He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, then tossed Su Qing's bag to her and told her to go out. Su Qing stomped her foot in frustration. Brother, get out, he suddenly yelled at her. Even I was startled. His eyes, red and full of fury, softened when he turned to look at me, replaced by the tenderness and fear I hadn't seen in a long time. Man, wife, I didn't know she would come to you. I won't let her appear in front of you anymore. Whatever, I waved nonchalantly, indifferent to wherever she chose to go. He seemed surprised by my calm demeanor, but mostly, he appeared relieved. He walked over, took my hand gently, and kissed it. Wife, I'm sorry, I was wrong these past few days. He rambled on about how busy work was and how tired he felt. He even apologized for the harsh words he had spoken that morning and went so far as to show me a lingerie collaboration project his company was working on. I was so annoyed by his incessant chatter and disgusted to the point of nausea. After pulling my hand away, I took a document out of the drawer and handed it to him. He opened it with a puzzled look. What's this? He had just pulled out half of the paper from the envelope when he suddenly threw the contract on the table. I disagree. It was a divorce agreement. I had printed it out as soon as I arrived. And the lawyer had mentioned that our financial ties weren't extensive. Though now there was a child involved, truthfully, I hadn't initially wanted him, but when I found out he was coming, I couldn't bear to let go. Fortunately, fate made the choice for me. It was as if even the heavens were aiding me. He paced around the office. Why, man, I've apologized. Why do you still want a divorce? Because of Ching Ching. I've told you, she's just my assistant. You don't like her. Fine, I'll fire her right away. Watching him flit about in front of me like a desperate clown, I had to interrupt him. Stop pretending. It's nauseating. I'm not, he said, pouting, his voice trembling and his expression as anxious as the day our college entrance exam results were released. That was the first time I saw him cry. Ever since he played the hero and rescued me, he had always followed me around. He'd follow me to and from school and appear at my classroom door during breaks, fooling around with a group of boys. Someone teased him, something's off. Hanging around our class door every day. Who has caught your eye? Who else but the best? He admitted openly. Back then, I was the top student in my grade, and everyone knew who he was referring to. His friends joked, she's the top student, liking her won't change your prospects, you guys are destined for different universities. From that day on, he did more than just follow me, he clung to me for tutoring and begged for my class notes. Over time, even those who knew him began to believe he had truly changed. Because of me, even the teachers tolerated his occasional skipping of classes to join mine, because he was so diligent, uncharacteristically so. Yet even with all his efforts, he still didn't perform well. I was the humanities valedictorian, and his scores could only get him into a second-tier university. He knew I wouldn't lower my standards to choose a university with him, so on the day the results were announced, he first congratulated me with a smile, but then he started crying. Man, what do we do? I don't want to be separated from you. I just can't. I scolded him playfully. Stop playing the victim. I'm not, he replied, looking as pitiful as a puppy that had been abandoned. Only then did I truly believe that the school's tough guy, the big shot bully, was genuinely heartbroken because he couldn't attend the same university as me. The same trick, which had deceived me over a decade ago, no longer worked. Seeing that I remained unmoved, he quickly switched tactics. Suman, I'm begging you, please, can't you forgive me just this once? Why, after over a decade of being together, You want to just call it quits? I won't sign the papers. Absolutely not. You can forget about it. He tore the divorce agreement to shreds. As if to vent his frustration, I sat there watching his tantrum, completely unmoved. Until he slammed the door and left. A tear fell onto the table with a soft plink. I raised my hand to wipe it away, but the tears kept coming. After all, we had been together for so many years. How did it come to this? For 5 consecutive days, Chin-mo didn't come home at night. It seemed like he was doing it on purpose, having his friends take loads of photos and posting them online. All the pictures showed him getting cozy with Yi-ching. There were photos of them kissing in a club, bungee jumping together, and having a water fight at the beach. He looked carefree in every single one. I had someone move all my belongings out of the house and burned what I didn't want. What couldn't be burned, I smashed. They weren't even worthy of being called trash, just worthless junk. In less than a day, the house was empty. After I finished, Jo-won came over. As soon as I met her, we went to the hospital. She looked at my thin face, tears streaming down her cheeks. It's been tough, my treasure. I held her hand, not crying, but feeling a warmth in my heart. It's okay, it's like I've died and come back. Before the surgery, the doctor asked for a family member to sign the paperwork. Since I had no relatives around, the only person left was Chin-mo. I had no choice but to call him. Maybe he would want to see his unborn child one last time. As soon as the call connected, I could hear a girl's moaning on the other end. Brother, let go of me. Damn it, your mother's dead. Jo-won couldn't help but shout into the phone. Yi-ching suddenly started crying. Woo-woo, brother, someone cursed at me. Chin-mo, as if just realizing, picked up the phone with a fierce tone. Su-man, why the hell are you barking? Didn't you say I have something going on with Ching-ching? There was nothing before, but there is now. Are you happy? Even so, don't even think about divorcing me. Who else would want you? Only I would want someone who can't have children. I suppressed my anger and calmly said, I'm at the hospital. I need you to come and sign a document. Yi-ching giggled over the phone. Brother, come help me. I can't fasten my clothes. Chin-mo's hoarse voice suddenly seemed distant. Wait, then it sounded closer. No time. He hung up the phone. I smiled at the nurse and asked if I could sign for myself. She had overheard the entire conversation and gave me a deep look before slowly nodding. Jo-won was sobbing uncontrollably beside me. Before entering the surgery room, I checked Yi-ching's social media. 10 minutes ago, she had posted a new status. Ching-ching. Woo-woo, I just cried my eyes out. But brother said he's arranged fireworks all over the capital for me to see later. I'm so happy. Just then, the lawyer called. He told me we had enough evidence to file for divorce. Suddenly, I felt the child was fortunate. Baby, it's good you won't come into this world. Find mommy again in your next life. I whispered to my belly. When I opened my eyes again, it wasn't Jo-won I saw, but Yi-ching. After looking around, I eventually just closed my eyes again. No need to look anymore. He doesn't know, Yi-ching said as she sat down in front of me, arms crossed. I heard it was an ectopic pregnancy. Such a pity. Your brother almost had a child. Get out, I said weakly, my voice sounding as if I were crying. She seemed unaffected and even chuckled. But no worries, I'll soon have your brother's child. Last night, he didn't use protection. He said he wanted a child with me. Of course, I agreed immediately. I couldn't wait. Just then, Jo-won came in with a food tray, saw her sitting by my bed, and without a word, threw the tray at her, splashing her with soup. What kind of tramp dares to make a scene here? Yi-ching screamed, calling Jo-won a crazy woman, and started pulling her hair. I struggled to get up and began throwing anything I could find on the table at Yi-ching. Jo-won quickly twisted her head towards me, and I hit her with a water pitcher, immediately raising a bump on her head. The next second, she came at me. I managed to press the call button, but still couldn't dodge her slap. Already weak, I was left completely drained of energy. Jo-won, furious, kicked her relentlessly in the stomach until hospital staff intervened to separate them. Eventually, they were both taken to the police station, and I lay in the hospital directing my lawyer to assist Jo-won. At the police station, Jo-won and Su-man's lawyer sat on one side, while Yi-ching hid behind Chin-mo. He sternly asked why Su-man hadn't come. Clutching his arm, Yi-ching wept. Brother, it was Su-man who hit me on the forehead. Many people saw it. Jo-won raised her hand to hit her again, saying, looks like I didn't hit you enough. Come here. The lawyer quickly pulled her back. Chin-mo suddenly shouted, enough. Why isn't Su-man here? Jo-won spat at him disdainfully. Get lost, you and your tramp. Don't even think about knowing where Suman is. Ultimately, since the surveillance footage showed that Zhou Wan was the instigator, she had to compensate financially. But she felt it was money well spent. You're welcome, you whore. Consider this a reward from me for taking care of that trash for my friend. Before getting into the car, Qin Mo tried to stop her. He felt uneasy, aware that something was off. Zhou Wan rarely came back from abroad, and now she was here without Suman, who couldn't be reached by phone. It didn't make sense that Suman would be unaware of the conflict. He tried to detain her, but her lawyer suddenly handed him a divorce petition. Mr. Qin, I am Zhangqing, MS, Suman's divorce attorney. Here is MS, Suman's petition for divorce. The court will notify you to appear. Prepare yourself. Stunned, Qin Mo shook his head in disbelief. Impossible, she wouldn't divorce me. Are you a scammer? How much money do you want? Zhou Wan, mustering all her strength, slapped him. This slap is on behalf of my friend. Just get lost. You think too highly of yourself, feeling superior even after an affair. What makes you think she wouldn't divorce you? It's her fault. She doesn't trust me. Qin Mo bellowed, his eyes red with anger. Zhou Wan scoffed derisively at his pathetic excuse. She refused to listen to him and, pulling the car door open, prepared to leave, but he persisted. Where is Suman? I need to see her. Why should I tell you? After that, Zhou Wan brushed off his hand and left with her lawyer. Qin Mo followed closely behind her. Zhou Wan frowned. I forgot to shake him off. I patted her hand reassuringly, telling her it was okay. This day was bound to come sooner or later. Soon, only Qin Mo and I were left in the hospital room. He was still clutching the lawsuit papers my lawyer had given him. Wife, he stuttered, looking at me helplessly, perhaps alarmed by the paleness of my lips. What's wrong with you? His fingers trembled as he tried to touch my face, but I turned away, furrowing my brow. Don't touch me with your filthy hands, it's disgusting. He quickly withdrew his hand, repeatedly wiping it on his suit. I'm not dirty, I haven't done anything. What's wrong with you? Why didn't you tell me you were hospitalized? Because you don't deserve to know, I said, looking at him steadily. My child, he didn't deserve to see, so there was no need to tell him. I thought I wouldn't know anything after the anesthesia, but he once shared a heart with me. He was once a vibrant life. I didn't even get a chance to look at him properly before he was gone, but he didn't seem lonely, because when he left, there were fireworks everywhere. The nurse told me that the fireworks started all over the capital just after my surgery was finished. They were beautiful, spectacular. One nurse said to me, although he didn't come into this world, he saw the spectacular fireworks as he left. In his next life, he will surely have a splendid life, and so will you in the future. Yes, I will too in the future. So I need to let go of things that don't let me shine, although the fireworks were not meant for me. My child saw them, so I thank them for that. I don't agree to the divorce. Man, I was wrong. I really was wrong. He suddenly knelt on the ground, not daring to place his hands on my bed but leaning against it, and began to cry with his head bowed. I held my head high, trying hard not to shed tears. After a long silence, I finally sniffed and said, Qin Mo. He suddenly looked up. Wife, you will forgive me, right? His face was tear-streaked and pitiful, and he indeed knew how to tug at my heartstrings. With a handsome face and a look of utter grievance, along with tears streaming down his face. But now, my heart was hardened. You always say you were wrong, but do you really think you were wrong? Actually, you intentionally let me find out about you and Yi Qing, right? After all, if someone wanted to hide it, their phone wouldn't just be lying around where I could see it, and you set a password that you knew I knew. He shook his head. No, I didn't. Man, you think I resent you because I didn't have a child, but because of past promises, you couldn't say anything to me, nor blame me, as that would make you lose the image of a good man, but you still couldn't hold back that day. You exposed yourself. You thought I would be hysterical, but I wasn't, so. You thought I didn't care about it at all and continued to test my limits. The best scenario for you was to catch you cheating, and then you could justify it by blaming me for not being able to have children, saying, Suman, you can't have children. Is it wrong for me to find someone who can? You're not wrong. But your mistake was in continually testing me, hurting me. You knew what you were doing would upset me, but you did it anyway. You allowed your canary to come to me, to provoke me. You still took her out to have fun, deliberately sending me those photos of you two to upset me, expecting me to give in, even pretending to forget what I like, just to anger me. But whether it's pretend or not doesn't matter anymore. Still, I have to tell you, I'm allergic to that brand of sanitary pads you bought me. when you first bought them without knowing. I had such a severe reaction I ended up in the hospital. And you were so guilt-ridden you couldn't sleep for 3 days, also. I never drink brown sugar ginger tea because I hate ginger. Back when we were in school, you would pick out the ginger from my food every day. For 7 or 8 years, Chinemo knelt down, took my hand, and pressed it against his face. Stop talking, man, please stop, I was wrong, I really was, man, can you forgive me, let's start over. It seemed like he only just realized he was about to lose me. But why did he only realize it now? Start over, if you can bring back my child. Then we can start over. He suddenly froze, looking at me in disbelief, his mouth opened and closed, and finally, only a trembling voice came from his throat. Child, we had a child. I took out a photo from the drawer, it was a CT scan, but I couldn't bear to part with it, so I had it printed as a photo. Yes, but he's already gone. He took the photo, his fingers trembling as he touched it. He shook his head desperately at me. You're lying, right, man, it can't be, how can it be gone? You're joking with me, right, man, I know I've been too much lately, I shouldn't have made you angry, I shouldn't have upset you, I really messed up, man, please tell me you're just joking. I raised my hand and slapped him. This slap is for our child, if he was born, he would have slapped you too. Are you awake now? Chinmo's face turned to the side from the slap. Only when the imprint of the slap appeared did his body stiffen and he turned back. Why, man, why? It's our child, he cried heartbreakingly, but I felt no sympathy, because his mother is a barren hen who couldn't lay eggs, so he didn't want to stay in my belly at all, I said jokingly, but he suddenly stood up and hugged me, burying his face in my shoulder. Stop, please, man, stop talking. He knew these were his own words, but I ignored him and continued. His father said his mother couldn't have children, that no one would want his mother but him. I said it mechanically. Yet he held me tighter. Man, I really messed up, none of those were my true feelings. Please, don't leave me, don't, I love you, man, I really love you. I patted his back. I love you too, but, you lost the me who loved you. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and Chinemo knelt outside for 2 days. Jojo hit and kicked him but he didn't leave. Later, Yiqing also came, and I slapped her 5 times in front of everyone. She cried and hid behind Chinemo. But Chinemo dragged her out for me to hit. I laughed at him. Chinemo, using a woman as a shield, that's really something. He didn't look at me, just knelt in front of me and started slapping himself. Before noon, a video circulated online titled, Famous Company CEO Kneels and Slaps Himself at the Hospital. It was in high definition, unblurred, even Yiqing's face was captured in it. Soon, her Weibo was exposed, and the truth came to light. It turned out that Yiqing, relying on her status as a sponsored individual, had disrupted someone's family and was even flaunting her affair on social media. Suddenly, she was like a rat crossing the street, everyone clamoring to denounce her. Later, it was also revealed that she had been quite promiscuous back in her rural village. Relying on her good looks, she seduced the village chief just to secure a sponsorship spot. It was said that she was even caught by the village chief's wife once, but managed to settle the matter with some money, and it was dropped. Chinmo's company's stocks also plummeted to an all-time low. Even his father came to the hospital to give him a beating. Surprisingly, he told his son, I will lose respect for you if you don't get a divorce, and then he left. I must say, I agree with that statement. As soon as I was discharged from the hospital, Zhou Rong and I bought plane tickets to go abroad. I left the divorce proceedings entirely to my lawyer, Chinemo. Upon discovering that I had emptied our home, frantically tried to reclaim the past, he even came to harass me where I was staying. I only gave him a small star. After taking it, he cried again. I could only sigh. No one will pity your tears anymore. With that, I left. I knew he would agree to the divorce. Star, that was the nickname I had given him, because when he came into my life, he shone like a star, so, I kept him in my eyes, in my heart. I wanted to be radiant, but I had also said, if one day I felt that the star no longer shined, then I wouldn't want it anymore, because if it's not shining, it's not my fault, it means the star is broken. What if the star is fixed? He asked stubbornly, much like years ago when he didn't want me mingling with other boys. I smiled at him. Sister doesn't need it anymore. Now I am my own star. A month after I went abroad, Chinemo sent me the divorce papers. He also gave me a lot of property. He sold his company and invested in a project treating ectopic pregnancies. However, I had little faith in him, Because he couldn't even protect his own child, how could he protect someone else's? As expected, within just 6 months, he failed, because Yi-Qin clung to him desperately. Actually carrying his child, she continuously tried to climb the social ladder, but Qin Mo gave her no chance and ultimately caused her to miscarry. His reputation was completely ruined. His father brought him back to the Qin family home and locked him away, but he went mad, constantly saying he needed to be with his wife, clutching his phone to answer his wife's calls, seeing a paper star. He would insanely claim it was folded by his wife, with no other choice. His father finally admitted him to a psychiatric hospital. One day, I suddenly received a call. There was silence on the other line. After asking several times, a voice finally spoke. Man, I'm scared to death. I'm scared I'll never see you again." I hung up and continued surfing with my best friend at the beach. 3 days later, a news alert popped up back home. Qin Corporation's heir Qin Mo committed suicide in a psychiatric hospital 3 days ago. It was said that he kept mentioning how scared he was. I casually flipped past the news. The next headline read, "The Leonid meteor shower will arrive next week." Wow, there's a meteor shower to watch. Story 2, I am a doctor. While on a train, I witnessed a boy fall from the upper bunk of a hard sleeper. I rushed to help immediately, but tragically, the boy did not survive. The boy's mother attacked me, punching and kicking, accusing me of causing her son's death. The boy's father charged at me and viciously stabbed me multiple times. My blood and intestines spilled everywhere, and I succumbed to my severe injuries. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the train, and the boy was causing a commotion in the carriage. I was woken by the noise. The boy was yelling and running around the carriage, disturbing all the passengers. "Little boy, can you stop making noise? Everyone wants to rest." "I want to make noise. What are you going to do about it?" Nah. The boy didn't care and even made a face at the person who spoke up. The passengers became even more irritated. "Don't the parents care at all? This is a public place. You know this is a public place. It's not your house. Can you control my son?" Arguing with a child. What kind of behavior is this? People nowadays really lack manners. If you don't like the noise, why not travel in first class? Why squeeze into a train? The woman in red rolled her eyes, clearly disdainful. I recognized her. Her name was Su Hong, the boy's mother. In a past life, the boy fell from the upper bunk, and I rushed to give him CPR immediately, not stopping for a second. I kept going for over 10 minutes until we reached the nearest station and an ambulance arrived. By that time, I was drenched in sweat, and my arms trembled from exhaustion. But ultimately, the boy still died in the emergency room. Su Hong collapsed in tears. Taking her anger out on me, she pinned me down, her eyes red as she choked me, screaming piercingly, "It's all your fault my son died. You did this on purpose. You might as well die too." I was overwhelmed by the sensation of suffocation. Thankfully, bystanders pulled Su Hong away just in time to save my life. But before I could feel relieved for long, I was cornered in an alley by the boy's father. I can't remember how many times he stabbed me. All I felt was unbearable pain everywhere. When I regained consciousness, I was back on the train. The boy had climbed back up to the upper bunk above me, dangling his legs down, kicking near my face. I couldn't help but frown and shifted to the side. The next second, a cup of water fell from above, soaking the bed. This had also happened in my past life. I was unprepared and got my knee completely wet, and not one of them apologized. Su Hong and I had a heated argument because of this, but now, I had no desire to argue. I just wanted to get as far away from this family as possible. My heart was pounding. I had another chance to start over. This time, I was determined to survive. Just then, a conductor arrived in the carriage. Passengers complained about the boy. Long-distance train travel is exhausting enough without a hyperactive boy starting his antics from 5 or 6 in the morning, keeping everyone awake. The passengers were at their wits' end. The conductor, polite and gentle, advised Su Hong to keep an eye on her child and maintain quiet in the carriage. But Su Hong was not about to take her advice. Her eyes widened. "Is there a law that says you must be quiet on a train? You can't even talk during the day. Maybe next time everyone should sew their mouths shut before getting on a train. The little girl doesn't learn good things. She only knows how to bully us common folk. It's completely unjust." The boy also joined in, cursing at the attendant with all sorts of foul language. Su Hong not only didn't stop him, but she actually looked proud. The attendant's eyes welled up with tears. I've seen this kind of scene before. But Soo-hong was still causing a scene. I quickly packed my luggage, only thinking about leaving the compartment as soon as possible. But trouble doesn't come alone. The boy was running in the narrow compartment and bumped into me heavily. He fell down on his bottom. Soo-hong forcefully pushed me aside and cradled the boy's head, wailing, "My poor baby. These ruthless people, if they can't outtalk me, they resort to hurting my child." When I looked up, I found myself pushed next to the boy's father. Li Qing had been sitting silently in a corner and now he was staring coldly at me. I shivered instinctively and hastily averted my gaze. A numbing sensation enveloped me, as if a knife was continuously moving in and out of my body. I felt dizzy, trembling, my heart racing, and my hands gripping the handrail went weak. The attendant quickly supported me. Soo-hong's loud voice rang out again, "Shameless. You even tried to scam us first. Stop pretending. You owe my son an apology, and a compensation. I want to see what kind of precious person you are." Barely touched and already half dead, I just felt a buzzing pain in my head. Soo-hong's voice was particularly grating. Some passengers spoke up for me, blocking Soo-hong. "Don't go too far. You can't afford the responsibility if something really happens." "Exactly. Show some mercy where you can." I couldn't care less about anything else and urgently pleaded with the attendant. "Please get me out of here. I beg you." I sat down by the aisle, the discomfort slowly fading, but I still felt very uneasy. If I just stay away from that family of 3, I should be fine, right? Hospital work is busy. I haven't been home for over half a year. I finally have some time off. And my parents are waiting at home for me to join them for a family meal. Suddenly, the train announcement came on. "If there are medical personnel on board, please proceed to car 7, thank you." I instinctively stood up, hesitated for a moment, then quickly sat back down. If I reveal now that I'm a doctor, and if the boy needs emergency aid again, I might end up like I did in my previous life. I've been committed to the medical field since high school, practicing medicine for 5 years with dedication, always adhering to the Hippocratic Oath. But this time, I'm truly scared. The pain was too much. The announcement continued to sound. I remembered the injuries of the woman from my previous life, who seemed to have a kind nature. I gritted my teeth and hurried toward car 7. I just couldn't stand by and watch. I am a doctor after all. The lady was holding her leg and gasping in pain. She got scalded accidentally while handling hot water. Her thigh was badly burned, looking quite frightening. I quickly cooled her skin with water, applied and reapplied burn ointment, and instructed her on further care. I had treated her once before in a past life, making my actions more confident this time. She repeatedly thanked me. Before I could even return a smile, the attendant handed me a blank form. My heart skipped a beat. I glanced over it quickly and indeed, it was the registration form I had filled out in a past life. It included various personal details, including my medical license number and place of practice. I instinctively refused. "I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor." The elder sister looked surprised. The flight attendant's face also changed. "How can you treat a passenger's wound without being a doctor? Are you sure your procedure was correct? What if the medication is inappropriate and causes other consequences? Can you take responsibility for that?" A pang of worry hit me. Had I made a mistake coming here? The elder sister laughed heartily, breaking the tension for me. "It's okay. I think the young lady did a great job. I feel much better now. She meant well. You can't blame her." Seeing this, the flight attendant did not persist further and apologized to me before leaving. Luckily, the elder sister really had a good nature. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Elder sister, thank you." She waved her hands dismissively. "How is this reversed? You helped me. I should be the one thanking you." "Young lady, I'm really grateful. I was panicking earlier." The attendant was also afraid of being held responsible. Alas, these days there are too many cases of people biting back. Everyone is cautious about helping others. Thankfully, you dared to step in and help me. Otherwise I really wouldn't have known what to do. I was filled with mixed emotions. Indeed, when those who offer help in good faith are met with retaliation, who would dare to step forward again? I had hesitated too. "Don't worry, young lady, I think the medication is right. I'm barely in pain anymore. Even if something does go wrong, I definitely won't trouble you. You can record this." I couldn't help but smile wryly, continuously agreeing with her. After a moment of thought, I decided to reassure her further. "Actually, I've been burned before, and this is how the doctor treated me. This medication really works, or else I wouldn't have dared to apply it." The elder sister smiled even more brightly. A young girl, about 10 years old, handed me an apple, with her eyes moist. She spoke softly, "Sister, thank you for saving my mom. This apple is for you, it's very sweet." With a smile on her face, I couldn't resist patting her on the head. "Thank you for the apple." The girl shyly hid behind the elder sister. I took a big bite of the apple, and it was indeed very sweet. Standing by the aisle, I gazed at the receding scenery in deep thought. The two children were about the same age but behaved so differently. Back then, I was only focused on escaping, but now thinking about the little boy made me uneasy. He was so young, a life in itself. Could I really just ignore him? If he fell unconscious again and an announcement was made, could I really stay hidden in good conscience? Images flashed before my eyes, the boy's pale face, Su Hong's angry eyes, and Li Cheng's indifferent gaze. I wanted to save him, but I was also scared of death. I hesitated, unsure of what to do. Suddenly, someone tapped me on the shoulder, followed by a surprised voice. "Lin Qing, aren't you supposed to be in med?" My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly covered his mouth. After looking around to make sure no one noticed us, I finally relaxed. The tall figure in front of me was all smiles. Oh, it was Pei Song, my high school classmate. Speaking of which, Pei Song was a big reason I chose becoming a doctor. My grades were always mediocre. To get into medical school, I don't know how many textbooks I went through or how many late nights I stayed up, but eventually, I succeeded. Ironically, despite my initial intention to save lives and help the injured, I ended up dying in what amounted to a distorted form of patient harassment. Seeing me silent for a long time, Pei Song looked puzzled. "What are you thinking about? You seem so secretive," I asked seriously. "Pei Song, can you do me a favor? It might be dangerous, of course," he replied without hesitation, adding teasingly, "After all, you are my lifesaver." I smiled, relieved. At that moment, the scales in my heart completely tipped. I just couldn't stand by and watch the boy die. With the lessons learned from the past, I was sure to protect myself first, then try to save the boy, even if something went wrong this time. Pei Song was there. He was an athlete with excellent physical condition, unafraid even to confront Li Qing face to face. Finally, I felt some confidence. "All right, wait here for me. I'll go handle something." I hurried back to the original carriage. The scene that unfolded before my eyes was shocking. The boy's legs were dangling over the handrail in the aisle, his whole body swaying, at risk of falling at any moment. "Be careful." As soon as I spoke, the boy lost his balance, and I quickly stepped forward to catch him. Fortunately, I protected him well, and he didn't suffer any bumps. I set him down, about to give him a few more warnings. After all, he had just had an accident and should have learned his lesson. Maybe now he would listen to some advice. But what he did next truly chilled my heart. As soon as the boy stood up, he immediately kicked hard at my shin. "It's all your fault for shouting like that. You scared me into almost falling." His kick was fast and fierce, and I couldn't dodge in time. My shin hurt terribly, and anger rose in me, the suppressed fear suddenly exploding. I didn't care about the pain anymore. I moved forward against the boy's attack, grabbed his arms from behind, clasped his neck, and firmly pinned him on the bed. "Apologize to me." Right now, Su Hong, who had been smiling at the side, now saw me gaining the upper hand and hurriedly came over to push me away. "What's wrong with you? You didn't even ask for compensation earlier, and now you come back to hit my child. That's so immoral." "Everyone, come and see. Someone is bullying a child here." I just had to laugh. "I saved him just now. You didn't see that. Then your child kicked me. You didn't see that. Now when I was about to discipline him, you saw that. Your eyes are really sharp, aren't they, Mum? She dared to hit me. You have to help me hit her back." The boy cried loudly, yet not a single tear could be seen. I gave him a cold glance. Some people, when they face trouble, it's simply what they deserve. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted. At that moment, there were no other people in the carriage, just the three of us. Su Hong was fiercely pulling at me. Her strength was formidable, and I could only passively resist. The boy was also observing and would occasionally kick me. During the struggle, I was thrown to the side, my right elbow slamming hard against the railing. I heard a loud crack and instantly broke out in a cold sweat. My right arm was probably dislocated. My shoulder bag was also flung away, its contents scattering all over, creating a mess. The loud noise finally attracted a lot of passengers. The conductor hurried over as well. Su Hong was quick to speak, playing the villain who complains first. "Just now, my son and I were sitting here peacefully when this woman suddenly came back and started hitting us. If I weren't strong, who knows how badly we would have been bullied. She had hit my son before, and she specifically waited until the carriage was empty to come over and attack us. You must arrest her. I stood to the side, cradling my right arm, my forehead slick with cold sweat, coolly observing her performance. I waited for her to finish her nonsensical rant before calmly speaking up. Why don't you ask everyone here if they believe your story? The surrounding passengers, who had all had unpleasant experiences with them and knew their true character, had harbored resentment for a long time and were certainly not on their side now. This woman just knows how to twist the truth. You can't listen to her words. The young girl is definitely innocent. Exactly. The young girl looks seriously injured, and that woman is still playing the victim. I've been annoyed by this family for a long time. The child is lawless, and the adults don't bother to discipline. They truly deserve it. The onlooking passengers were buzzing with comments, unanimously blaming Su-hong and her family. Seeing the tide turn against her, Su-hong immediately sat down on the floor, kicking out wildly, starting her familiar drama of throwing a tantrum. It's unjust. Everyone is bullying us now. The child is just a bit lively, and yet he is despised. There's no tolerance in society anymore. My poor baby, she must pay compensation, or this won't be settled. Tears streamed down Su-hong's face, astonishing me with her performance. Believe it or not, some were actually fooled by her act, advising me to forgive and forget, not to be too hard. Those who were initially denouncing Su-hong now fell silent, encouraged by the effect. Su-hong cried even louder, her voice truly grating. So, the boy carelessly throws water, swings his legs about almost hitting someone's face, showing no remorse despite his evident misbehavior. Just a bit lively, he repays kindness with ingratitude, readily resorting to hitting and cursing. Just a bit lively, she really had a way with words. No matter how the conductor tried to mediate, Su-hong remained unyielding. She wept bitterly, as if I had committed some heinous crime against her. Calmly, I lifted my phone and shook it. All right then, let's call the police. The calls for help from car number 08 abruptly stopped. Su-hong's face was filled with panic. Don't scare me. You're calling the police. Do you have evidence? My little Bao and I both saw it. You started the fight. I was merely defending myself. Right, isn't that so, Xiao Bao? The woman asked assertively. The boy nodded vigorously. Yes. Su-hong, feeling emboldened, switched back to her arrogant tone. I won't waste more words with you. Just pay us 20 or 30,000. And we can let this go. 20 or 30,000. She really was asking for the moon. Was the boy even scratched? I'm the one who's hurt. I turned to the conductor. If I call the police, you can pull up the surveillance footage from the train car, right? Yes, ma'am, the conductor replied, seemingly relieved to deal with Su-hong, his voice betraying a hint of pleasure. Su-hong's face turned pale in an instant. She glanced frantically at the camera, then looked around as if searching for something to destroy the device. I couldn't help but be speechless. How ignorant could one be? Even if you destroy the camera now, the data is already stored in the back end. Besides, sabotaging railway facilities can land you in jail. I informed her, completely panicked now. Su-hong blurted out defiantly, forget it, I won't argue with you anymore. Let's just call it bad luck on our part. Please just go. Unfortunately. Her trembling voice made it all too clear. The other passengers noticed something was amiss and began clamoring to call the police to clarify the situation. Su-hong bowed her head, unusually silent, letting others make their comments without a word. Did she really think she could easily let this go? With a smirk, I pronounced each word clearly. You misunderstood. Now I'm the one who has an issue with you. My hand hurts so much I can't move it. It might be fractured. I'm going to sue you for intentional injury. You will definitely have to pay compensation, and you might even be detained. Su-hong looked up sharply. I unlocked my phone screen, pretending to dial. Suddenly, someone kicked Su-hong hard, and her somewhat corpulent body momentarily lifted into the air before her waist slammed heavily against the edge of the bunk, making a loud noise. The kick was strong and forceful. She was definitely not lightly injured. Everyone was stunned. I turned my head in shock. It was Li Cheng. My heart clenched. Li Cheng was standing right next to me. Though I had no idea when he had returned, I instinctively moved aside, accidentally pulling at my arm, causing a sharp pain. Sweat broke out on my forehead again. Was this a stress response? It felt like I was seeing blood everywhere again. My limbs seemed to be in a state of excessive blood loss, going numb and weak. My wife has a bad temper, and I apologize for her. We will compensate for this injury, cover all medical expenses. Is that an acceptable solution? Li Cheng said earnestly, his tone reasonable. which was completely at odds with his violent actions. I grew more frightened and bowed my head, pretending to be in severe pain, trying to calm myself. Perhaps seeing that I wasn't responding, Li Qing pressed Su Hong and the boy to apologize to me, in front of Li Qing. The two of them cowered like quails. I finally convinced myself. None of my past life had happened yet. The current Li Qing wouldn't harm me. I couldn't appear too panicked. That would only raise suspicions. Even if I did call the police, for a conflict of this level, Su Hong wouldn't face any severe punishment. It would only entangle us further. It was better for me to clearly distance myself from their family. I accepted Li Cheng's compensation and we reached a settlement. The crowd of onlookers dispersed. The attendant helped me gather my belongings scattered on the ground. Tisk, you're a doctor. Doctors these days are all heartless, only knowing how to ask for money. They know nothing else but to bully us, the common folks. I suddenly looked up, only to realize that Su Hong had picked up my medical license. With the issue resolved, she seemed reinvigorated. But I couldn't care less about her demeaning and mocking words anymore. I stood there numbly, my heart sinking to the depths. It felt as if all events were aligning back onto a familiar tragic path from my past life. Despite my efforts to avoid it, I still ended up arguing with Su Hong and revealing my identity as a doctor. In the end, was I destined to die at the hands of Li Cheng? I couldn't help but steal a glance at Li Cheng. He remained impassive, leaning against the railing, his expression neither sad nor happy. The terror within me was indescribable. I snatched my medical license and fled the carriage as if escaping. Wait a moment. 10. I didn't want to be so obedient, but my legs wouldn't respond. As if rooted to the spot, Li Cheng moved in front of me, scrutinizing me for a long time. He suddenly smiled. You seem very afraid of me. My heart stopped. I was panicked to the extreme, yet my face settled into a complete calm, as if my soul had left my body. No. Li Cheng ignored my response. He suddenly made a strange gesture, wrapping a charging cable around his hand several times before stretching it out with both hands. I was utterly confused. What was he doing? Li Cheng quickly abandoned his action and walked back to a corner of the carriage. His stern face somehow looked more agreeable than his smile, which was truly unsettling. My soul snapped back into place, and I hurried over to Pei Song. Perhaps I was too frightened earlier, but I couldn't feel the pain in my hand. I plopped down next to Pei Song before I could catch my breath, gasping from the pain. Why are you in such a panic? What happened to your hand? Pei Song frowned, reaching out to check my injury. I quickly stopped him. It's just dislocated. Nothing serious. Aren't you an orthopedic surgeon? Can you fix it yourself? I was silent for a moment, then said, No, we're almost at the station. I'll find a hospital to treat it. Pei Song nodded. That makes sense. I heard setting a dislocation is painful. Who can really bring themselves to do that? What exactly happened to your hand? What were you saying about handling some matter? Pei Song chattered on relentlessly. I couldn't focus on him, my mind racing with troubling thoughts. Su Hong and Li Qing seemed unusually afraid of me calling the police. Not just ordinarily afraid, but truly terrified. And Li Cheng's last gesture. Was it something like strangling? I jumped up from my seat in shock. Pei Song. Your brother is a police officer, right? Pei Song, startled, answered, yes. Then please ask him something for me. I stared intently into Pei Song's eyes, my tone serious. Is there a fugitive murderer named Li Cheng? Soon after, Pei Song's brother replied, No. I was somewhat taken aback, but also felt a bit amused. Was I too deeply influenced by my past life, to the point of being scared silly, to even have such an absurd thought? I breathed a sigh of relief, relaxed and leaned back comfortably in my chair. Pei Song, still eager for knowledge, curiously asked, Who is Li Cheng? After I explained the series of events that had just occurred, I asked him with a self-mocking smile, Do you think I'm being too imaginative? Not at all. I think your thoughts are quite reasonable, but your brother checked, and it's not him. Pei Song's eyes sparkled. It's just the name that's not the same. He might be using a fake name. Wait here for me. Before Pei Song could finish his sentence, he dashed off so quickly I couldn't even hold him back. What was this tall guy up to? It wasn't long before Pei Song returned. He handed me his phone, looking quite pleased with himself. I looked at the chat record. Goodness, Pei Song had taken a high-definition photo of Li Cheng and sent it to his brother. I widened my eyes. He didn't notice, did he? Aren't you afraid of him? He seemed a bit perplexed. Of course he didn't notice. I'm not stupid. What's there to be afraid of? He doesn't look special. Just likes to keep a stern face. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a murderer. I felt a bit envious. Is this what they mean by ignorance is bliss? I saw that boy you were talking about. He's over there crawling around again, really doesn't learn. I just responded with an oh, expressionless. Pei-song suddenly got excited. Right. Your reaction is correct. He's not your patient. Why do you care so much? You've already advised him. Yet he hasn't restrained himself at all. If something really happens, it's his own fault. Besides, it's not certain something will happen. Don't carry such a heavy psychological burden. Alright, look at how worried you've become. I glanced at him, lacking the desire to speak. Yes, in others' eyes, these are just unlikely events that haven't happened, and I really am worrying too much, but I have experienced it once myself. I know the likelihood of the boy getting into trouble is very high. After all, this life's development is almost the same as in my previous life, but good words are hard to persuade a doomed soul. I've done all I can. I'm not a god. I can't save someone hell-bent on finding their own demise. Maybe seeing me continuously gloomy, Pei-song began to comfort me again. Being a doctor these days has been overly mythologized by everyone. You have to be highly skilled and also possess a spirit of dedication. Everyone is expected to be like a saint descending to earth, benefiting the community. Why should it be so? Isn't everyone just working to earn some money? He paused for a moment, then quickly added, of course, there are many who are definitely doing it out of belief, out of love, like you. I waved my hand to cut him off, indicating that I didn't mind. I glanced at my right arm and sighed imperceptibly, a bitter feeling rising within me. Indeed, many in the industry always harbor sincere dedication, fearlessly contributing to the medical field. I used to be able to say with a straight face that I was one of those people, but now, I no longer belong among them. My right arm isn't seriously injured at all. I could easily pop it back into place myself, but I didn't. I was leaving myself a way out. If something unexpected happens, it would serve as a perfect excuse for me to stay out of it. I am a complete coward. Pei-song's phone suddenly started vibrating nonstop. All thoughts were interrupted, and I hurriedly leaned in closer. His brother finally replied with a message, a wanted poster of a man. The man in the wanted poster bore the face of Li Qing, but the name displayed was Li Qingdong. He indeed was a murderer and had been using a fake name. A call came through immediately after. Give me your exact location. We'll deploy action right away. Stay back and keep yourself safe. Do not approach them. We quickly agreed. After hanging up, Pei-song and I looked at each other, both feeling a chill. Li Qing was indeed a fugitive using a pseudonym, with 3 lives on his hands, all strangled to death. 3 flourishing college students just went to the countryside to sketch and watch the sunrise, but because of a disagreement with Li Qing, they were left forever in that small village. As for Su Hong, she was also using an alias and was on the fugitive list as Li Qing's accomplice. Both individuals were despicably evil. I was incredibly nervous, my heart beating chaotically. It turns out Li Qing's previous actions were to test me. Had any of my reactions been slightly off, he would have silenced me immediately, wouldn't he? Moments ago, I thought I had been extremely cautious in protecting myself and even planned a way out. Now, I suddenly realized that unwittingly, I had been skirting the edges of death several times, confronting 2 cold-blooded murderers. I truly was audacious. 13. I don't know if Pei-song was missing a screw in his head. Just a few minutes ago, he was as scared as I was, but now, he was eagerly wanting to keep an eye on Li Qing's family and even tried to coax me into joining him. I quickly refused. Time ticked by, and the train was almost at the platform. The moment when the boy in the past fell had already passed. By now, the platform should be filled with police ready to arrest Li Qing. Right, the course of fate must have changed entirely. I should be able to get away smoothly. Suddenly, Pei-song rushed back in a hurry. He hit the railing with a loud bang. He shielded me in the corner, using his body to firmly block others' views. I was confused. What's wrong? It's nothing, he replied quickly, but his voice trembled, not sounding like it was nothing at all. I wanted to ask more, but suddenly a sharp cry rang out not far away. Xiao Bao. My heart skipped a beat. That voice, it sounded like Su Hong's. I tightened my throat, finding it difficult to speak. Did that little boy still have an accident? Pei-song held my head firmly, staring intently into my eyes, his face serious. It has nothing to do with you. He hit his head directly on the ground, motionless on the spot. Even if you went, there was nothing you could do. The train will be here in a few minutes. There will be ambulances. Just leave it to them. We were not far from Su Hong and the others. I could clearly hear her continuous wailing. She was crying and hoping someone would come and save her son. I even vaguely heard her calling my name, pleading for my help. The surrounding passengers all ran over to watch. The train announcements kept looping continuously. Passenger in need of urgent assistance. Please could medical staff head to carriage 11. Thank you. Passenger in need of urgent assistance. Please could medical staff head to carriage 11. Thank you. I sat frozen in place, my body trembling uncontrollably. Pei-song clutched my ears tightly, constantly whispering reassurances to me. I prayed silently, wishing for the train to reach the station quickly and for this ordeal to end. Those few minutes felt excruciatingly long. Finally, the train arrived at the station. The police quickly took control of the situation, evacuating the crowd, apprehending the fugitive. It was all done smoothly and efficiently. A boy was immediately taken away in an ambulance. As Pei-song and I exited the train station with the crowd, we ran into Su-hong. She was being escorted by 2 police officers towards a police car, hunched over, her hair disheveled. She looked utterly defeated. When she saw me, she somehow found the strength to break free and charged at me with fury. But before she could get far, she was swiftly restrained again. The police pinned her down firmly, but she continued to struggle wildly, her eyes red, her voice hoarse. She yelled, "Aren't you a doctor? Why didn't you save my son, you despicable wretch? Where is your conscience, your medical ethics? Give me back my son." Maybe I felt a bit of pity for the boy, but for Su-hong and Li Cheng, I only wished they would go to hell quickly. I touched my right arm lightly. "Have you forgotten? You broke my arm. How could I save your son? You feel pain now. Didn't you ever consider that the person you killed was someone else's son too?" Su-hong collapsed. She sobbed, giving up all resistance, and was dragged into the police car. I went straight to the hospital, went through the procedure to register for treatment, and my arm was securely bandaged. It felt like an overreaction, but it was better this way, to distance myself further from the ordeal. Pei-song found out from his brother that the boy didn't make it. He had already lost all signs of life by the time he was placed in the ambulance. His fate was sealed. I was lucky to have escaped with my life, a true redemption by fate. After treating my wound, I arrived home 3 to 4 hours later than expected. My parents were extremely worried. They had called me multiple times. I had to tell them I was at the hospital getting bandaged, which terrified them. My dad wouldn't hear of it. He insisted on picking me up himself. Once home, they treated me like a fragile porcelain doll, not letting me do anything, even when changing shoes at the entrance. My mom came to help me. They tenderly comforted me, holding my securely bandaged arm. The dinner table was laden with all my favorite dishes. My mom, exaggerating even more, said I had injured my dominant hand and wanted to feed me herself. I repeatedly declined this sweet yet burdensome parental love. The news on TV reported that Li Cheng and Su-hong, after many years, were finally apprehended. Li Cheng was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve, and Su-hong to life imprisonment. Justice was finally served for the 3 young lives lost. The victims' parents wept bitterly on camera. My mom was deeply moved and cursed. "Those 2 are really despicable. The victims were their family's only children. Their parents must be devastated." I was scared